I don't know.
A happy weekend, didn't you?
And no, it was good time. We were cutting hair and driving tractors and doing shopping and making dinner and making pancakes and eating pizza.
At the tractor cutting hair, so you're farming, hairdressing, what else?
Well, I wasn't farming, I was just
barbering.
driving around a
Barbering.
field with wee Lee in the tractor, cutting Noah's hair, cutting Lee's hair, ate pizza. Yeah.
Did you watch any films?
Well, I watched 20 minutes of it before I fell asleep. Good show, though. Good show. Can't wait till next weekend. Good luck.
Have a good weekend. Thanks, Lee. It's a brand new week on the 9 till noon show at 9 o'clock. Let's get a news update and say good morning, Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. Well, Rishi Sunak is expected to be confirmed as the new UK Prime Minister this afternoon. Boris Johnson withdrew from the Tory leadership race last night, leaving only Rishi Sunak and Penny Mordaunt in the race. He'll be confirmed as leader if he's the only candidate with 100 Tory supporters by this afternoon's deadline. It's suggested he has well above the requisite 100. Penny Mordaunt is well below it. Former Taoiseach John Bruton says what the UK needs more than anything else is stability.
Boris Johnson is unpredictable, to put it mildly, and I think we might be better off with somebody predictable, because at this stage in history, after what has happened in recent weeks, Britain needs a predictable, stable government, and I think Sunak probably provides a better means of getting there. But we will really not know until he's in office for a month or two.
A report to be published today reveals a 30% increase in the number of patients attending the sexual assault treatment unit in Donegal. 101 patients attended in 2021 compared to 70 the previous year. Donegal County Council is being asked to carry out inspections on all drain gullies in Letterkenny and to ensure they're flushed and cleaned out as quickly as possible. The call will be made at a meeting of Letterkenny Milford Municipal District by Mayor Councillor Donald Mandy Kelly. He says recent flooding in Glenswilly has shown what can happen if gullies and drained aren't continually monitored and cleaned. He says work on a new pipe there should be complete either by this evening or tomorrow. But in the meantime, he says a comprehensive study is needed now to ensure that what happened in Glenswilly doesn't happen elsewhere.
I've got phone calls from numerous housing estates within the town and even the Dry Arch roundabout that was flooded there recently as well, due to gullies being blocked. And if you take a look around there in some areas of the town, there's actually gullies with grass growing out of them. I'm asking that these gullies be inspected and all be cleaned, especially now coming into the winter months. We have a lot of rainfall there this last couple of weeks, hoping for a good response on this and that inspection will be carried out.
The Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says it's vital that people conserve electricity after Russian missile strikes took out around a third of the nation's power stations. Rolling blackouts have been introduced across much of the country, with one official claiming 1.5 million people are without energy at any given point. Meanwhile, the Cabinet Subcommittee on Ukraine is meeting this afternoon to try to find solutions to the refugee crisis. The government has run out of accommodation. 43 Ukrainian refugees were refused housing by the state on Friday and Saturday. The European Affairs Minister, Thomas Byrne, says work was ongoing all over the weekend to find more accommodation. Minister Byrne says there's no question of Ireland putting a cap on the numbers coming in.
It's not legally possible for us to do that. I think it would be morally wrong as well. And we're going to have to continue to do this while letting people know that it is really, really difficult for us at the moment in terms of the shortage of accommodation. Every single European country is having these difficulties, most of all, of course, Ukraine itself. So there's no legal limit on the numbers.
Residual mist and low fog and cloud clearing during the morning, leaving sunny spells and scattered showers, some of those heavy at times. Top temperatures this afternoon, 12 to 14 degrees Celsius in moderate west to southwest winds. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news in full at 10 o'clock.
Taking time out to visit a healthcare professional isn't always convenient. That's why at Irish Life Health, we visit you. With My Clinic, our members get virtual access to back and neck physiotherapy, professional counselling, unlimited GP consultations and more. Search Irish Life Health. A better life with Irish Life Health. Services available where covered in your plan and clinically appropriate. Professional counselling available to age 16 plus. Back and neck physio to age 18 plus. Irish Life Health Act is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Terms and conditions apply.
Live free in 2023 with Dunloe GAA Club. Winner takes all. Prize includes €500 cash paid every week next year. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
The county's #1 talk show, the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. And now, it's time for the talk of the Northwest. The 9 to Noon Show with Greg Hughes on Highland Radio.
Hello, a very good morning to you. 5 minutes past 9 on this Monday, the 24th of October. I do hope you're well. I hope you had a good weekend. Let us know what went on. 086 60 25,000. That's the WhatsApp and text line. It's open for you right now. You can also give us a call. Caroline taking your calls today. Donna Marie also on the phones. 074 91 25,000. Keep us nice and busy. Let us know what's going on. If you want to email us, comments at highlandradio.com is how you get in touch. Or you can hop right onto our website right now. Click the Watch Live button and watch the programme. Or go onto our social media, YouTube, Highland Radio Ireland, or across our Facebook pages. And you can watch the show there and most of our guests too as they join us throughout the course of this programme and right through the week. All right, let's get a look at what's making the front pages of the newspapers today. Let's start with the Derry People Monday edition of the Donegal News. The Derry People Donegal News. Bohemians Football Club has been criticised for its silence in the wake of offensive chanting by some fans at Friday night's game against Finn Harps. Travelling spectators goaded the home fans by shouting, "You're going down with your houses," an obvious reference to the Micah crisis. The scene sparked a flurry of condemnation on social media and have been roundly condemned by Micah families, some politicians and members of the general public. And it's a terrible thing to be at. It seems quite typical sometimes of sport, the way people throw abuse at each other. Ironically, though, it might be the first time some politicians down the country have thought about Micah for some time. So in some way, maybe it'll bring that issue to the fore of their mind, because we know, particularly the Dublin-based politicians, the decision makers, haven't been talking about Micah much lately. So maybe it's a wee reminder for them. But Bohemians have remained tight-lipped about the behaviour. Speaking to the Donegal News yesterday, Micah campaigner Paddy Diver said it was shocking that the Dublin club had not added its voice to the outpouring of criticism. Bohemians are supposed to be the people's club, and they should be condemning this and issuing an apology, he said. So the club expected to maybe make some sort of a comment in relation to that. I think there's two elements to it. Of course, there's the club and then there's the fans. I think, if I'm not mistaken, the club gave a wreath over to representatives to as a mark of respect to the Creasler tragedy. So that's the other side of it as well. That's what the club did. Their fans, they didn't leave Finn Park in glory, did they? Right on to the Derry News. No access to addiction services for women in Derry. That's the headline. Women in Derry who are dealing with addiction have no access to Tier 3 services in the district. They've no alternative but to travel to Omagh for specialised treatment. This shocking revelation was made by Derry City and Strabane District Councillor Emmett Doyle, who is Secretary of the Campaign for a Derry Detox Unit. Tier 3 interventions include the provision of community-based specialised alcohol and or drug assessment and coordinated care plan treatment and alcohol and or drug specialist liaison. And if you want a lot of people who need it accessing that service, you don't have them travelling to Omagh. You have it available as locally as possible. Let's go on to the Irish Independent now. And the government is working on a new scheme to encourage people to hand over empty homes to house Ukrainian refugees in return for financial payments. The state officially ran out of space to house people fleeing the Russian invasion of Ukraine over the weekend. And ministers will meet today to discuss new plans to address the refugee crisis now. I mean, people will have different views on the amount of refugees and asylum seekers that the country is taking in. But right from the get-go, from this conversation, there was talk from government themselves. It wasn't anyone else suggesting that they could be seeing numbers up to 100,000 people, perhaps even 200,000 people. And, you know, that was the time to put a plan in place. If that was what you're going to commit to, you need to put a plan in place, don't you, to be able to accommodate those people in a reasonable way. But at the same time, also, the plan must include your ability to continue to ensure that you're meeting the housing needs of the people that are already here. And yet here we are, far short of the 100,000 Ukrainians in Ireland, and they're talking about a plan. What was happening at the start of the year when they predicted themselves these figures? So we're seeing a worsening housing crisis for those already here, and they have not planned as to how they would house Ukrainians. One of the things being planned is perhaps to stop giving free food in hotels to encourage people to move on. Well, 10 more refugees were left without accommodation yesterday, bringing to 43 the total for the number of people fleeing Ukraine who cannot be offered emergency beds. One potential solution to the growing crisis is to develop a new payment for people who are willing to hand over properties on a longer-term basis to house refugees. Now, let's not forget there are those making a fortune out of this. It is their business, it's their living. And they're making hundreds upon hundreds of euro per night in some cases, certainly per week. Yet people who might have a house available or who might feel inclined are still being offered 400 euro seemingly. They're looking to maybe increase that. The scheme would be in addition to the accommodation recognition payment, which pays, as I mentioned, homeowners 400 euro a month to take refugees into their homes. Ukrainian refugees who spent the weekend sleeping in Dublin Airport have said they should not have travelled here if they had known, or they would not have travelled here if they had known there was no accommodation for them. And one of them, I heard an interview suggesting that rather than fill out the form to say they're going to stay here, they're actually going to maybe leave and seek accommodation in some other European country. The soap opera that is British politics at the moment continues. Richie Sunak is now poised, this is the Irish Times, Richie Sunak is now poised to become the British Prime Minister later today following Johnson's sensational withdrawal from the Conservative Party. It's not a phrase you often associate with Boris Johnson, but there you go. In a statement released just before 9 p.m, the former Prime Minister said it would not have been the right thing to do to continue his leadership campaign, as it would not help to heal the divisions within the party. I've sadly come to the conclusion that this would simply not be the right thing to do. You can't govern effectively unless you have a united party in Parliament, he said. So he's kind of blaming other people. The reality is he didn't have the support. If you're Boris Johnson and you need 100 people to back you, and the deadline is Monday afternoon, and you have that 100 people to back you, you send them out to every British news organisation over Sunday saying that he's the man to do the job, he's the man that can turn things around, blah, 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 blah. It didn't happen. He clearly didn't have the 100 people, and he's a waffler, but he's clever. I'll give him that much, because now he's given himself a mandate to be critical of whomever comes into the leadership of his party and ergo the country. Mr. Johnson said he had reached out to Mr. Sunak and to the other contestant, Penny Mordaunt, over the weekend, but without success. We have sadly not been able to work out a way of doing this. Therefore, I'm afraid the best thing is that I do not allow my nomination to go forward and commit my support to whoever succeeds. And presumably he wrote that as he went back to the airport to fly back to the Caribbean, where he had been holed up. And no one questioned either, which is crazy. Like, he's an elected politician, still is an elected politician, with the House of Parliament sitting, right, and he's on a long Caribbean holiday. I mean, is that not even remotely an indication of someone who's not really committed to the job? And also, too, and it's not unique to Britain, and you see it elsewhere, if you look at the updates and the tweets from British politicians, it's clear they're far more interested in the survival of themselves and their party than they are their people. Because it's there in black and white in their tweets and whatever other social media they use. On to the Irish Daily Mail and politics much closer to home. Fianna Fáil is legally vulnerable to a lawsuit by Mark McSharry over its inept handling of a complaint against the rebel TD, ministers have warned. At a thinly attended Fianna Fáil card fall dinner on Saturday night, Taoiseach Micheál Martin claimed the attendance was the biggest for a decade, and also stressed that in the last election Fianna Fáil received the biggest vote ever for an Irish political party. However, the event was dominated by the political ghost of Mark McSharry. Sources in the party have detected a major swing against the leader internally in the wake of the shambolic handling of Mr. McSharry's postponed readmittance to the parliamentary party. One source said, "People are wondering if Micheál would treat them this way. Were they in trouble? At least 5 people have turned against Micheál because of this." They warned that the Chief Whip, Jack Chambers, who announced the suspension of the McSharry return, is especially unhappy, noting, "Jack is furious. He's been dropped in a quagmire. We are very legally vulnerable over the handling of this," and so on and so forth. Right, okay, on to the Irish Daily Star now. And let's talk about the former head of the HSE. Paul Reid claimed hundreds of euro worth of fuel and travel expenses. I mean, he was travelling around a lot, wasn't he? I mean, you wouldn't want that coming out of his own pocket, would you? Oh, sorry, I didn't read the rest of the headline. He claimed hundreds of euro worth of fuel and expenses, as he also availed of the services of army drivers in a sponsored BMW during lockdown. Mr. Reid also had the use of a company car, another BMW, during the period he was submitting the motoring and travel expenses. The senior civil servant also had use of his company car during the early months of 2020, during the first full COVID lockdown, which was imposed from March 27 until the last week of June. During this time, all non-essential journeys were banned and you could only travel within 2 kilometres of your home. Well, that's not strictly true, but anyway. Then it increased to 5 kilometres from the 5th of... You could only travel that distance within your home to go to exercise. I can't believe they're still getting this wrong, but anyway, you could travel as far as you like if the reason was justified, but you could not travel beyond 2 kilometres to exercise. There was no restrictions on going to shops 10 kilometres away or whatever. Now, some guards would turn you around if there was a shop closer to you. But anyway, it's just constantly misrepresented that. Not that it matters at this stage. But anyway, the Star has received documents purporting to show Mr. Reid's alleged expenses claims for these months of severe lockdown, when ordinary members of the public were subjected to travel restrictions for non-essential reasons. The recently resigned head of the HSE was on a salary of over 420 grand a year when he submitted expenses for his fuel card and separately for staff travel. The documents reveal that Mr. Reid submitted invoices for expenses on his fuel card for the following amounts: 131 at the end of March, 60 quid at the end of April, 67 at the end of June, and 175 at the end of July. All right, okay, let's go to the Irish Sun. Now, can shopping around, being more selective in your shopping bag make a difference when you're out shopping? Irish households, we're told, could save €1,195 a year by swapping from branded products to supermarkets' own labelled goods. Thrifty shoppers in any grocery chain could save nearly €100 a month, new Aldi research found. It would help lessen the sting of grocery inflation, which hit 11% last month, the highest level in over a decade. Aldi's Andrew Barling said shoppers have been changing their behaviour across the board at the cost of living crisis as it hits many hard. So what changes have you made? Like when we talk about own brand savings, what are we talking about here? Is it different types of beans and sauces and stuff? Have you experience of that? Have you any real world examples of how you're saving money? Let us know. Share the love. 086 60 25,000. If I find any way to save money, I try and pass it on. So help me with that. 086 60 25,000. And lastly, the Irish Daily Mirror tells us that, and we're going to be covering this, of course, throughout the day here in Highland Radio, survivors of sexual abuse are waiting up to a year for appointments because support groups are overwhelmed with a rise in numbers seeking help. Well, you know what? That's half of it. They're underwhelmed by funding. That's also a problem. They can't offer the help because they're not being funded correctly. Yes, of course, any increase is going to put pressures on services, but the bottom line is these organisations aren't properly funded. But anyway, they say that this is one of the key findings in a new report by the Rape Crisis Network. Stats for 2021 show 11,414 people contacted the organisation's helpline. 1,341 received counselling and support. It's about 10%, isn't it? The study also shows that last year 14,280 appointments were made by survivors of abuse, while 183 victims were accompanied to the sexual assault unit, court and Garda appointments. Okay, that's a run through what's making the front pages of the newspapers today. If you've anything to comment on those issues, or to raise your own, or to pass on any information or anything you think we should be talking about, get that phone line hopping. 086 60 25,000. WhatsApps and text to that number 086 60 25,000, or give us a call on 074 91 25,000. 074 91 25,000. We'll be back with much more on the programme, as you know, after these.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny.
Live free in 23 with Dunloe GAA Club. €500 cash paid weekly, a luxury holiday, hotel stays and more. Winner takes all. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Keep out the cold, cold, cold this winter and ring Fleming for their full range of garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Get a free pair of 1,000 mile socks with every pair of men's and women's running shoes at Michael Murphy Sports and Leisure. Run the roads, the beach or the track in comfort and style with the latest arrivals from top brands including Asics, Brooks and New Balance. Whether you're looking for extra cushioning, more lightweight shoes or trail shoes, you'll find the perfect pair of runners at michaelmurphysports.ie.
Green Shoes in Letterkenny and Fulcara have shoes for every occasion. All your favourite brands, from Una Healy, Tommy Bow and Echo, to Kate Appleby, Marcosi and Skechers, plus many more. Shop LK and One for All gift cards are gratefully accepted in store. Green Shoes in Letterkenny at Market Square and Letterkenny Shopping Centre, Fulcara and online at greenshoes.com. Green Shoes, with the perfect fit for every foot.
Order. There's a lot to be said for it. Not the restrictive, always play by the book, straight down the line kind of order, but the order you place for a brand new 231 Audi. An order best placed having experienced true progress with a test drive at your Audi dealer, where you'll also get advice on finance options available to ensure owning your 231 Audi is as straightforward as possible, which is proper order. Visit your nearest Audi dealer, where future is an attitude.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
Every business starts with a question. Can I do it? And an answer. Yes, I can. At Vodafone Business, we're a tech partner to each of our small business customers. And as the main sponsor of the Irish rugby team, we want your business to be seen on the big day, with a chance to win free pitchside advertising when Ireland take on Australia. To enter, visit vodafone.ie/business. Vodafone Business. Together, we can. Terms and conditions apply.
Okay, joined on the programme now. We're joined on the programme now by Councillor Kieran Brogan. Good morning, Kieran. How are you keeping?
Good, Greg. Yeah, good morning.
It's good to have you with us. Right, okay. Now, you are raising an issue with the council. The question is a simple one, that this council meet with Fulch Ireland to discuss the future provision of tourism facilities and opportunities in Letterkenny. What is the background to that? It seems kind of obvious. Does it maybe feel that even Letterkenny is the biggest town in the county is somewhat forgotten in terms of being a destination for tourists? Is it as simple as that?
Well, I think since COVID, the Fulch Ireland office in Letterkenny, the opening hours have been very limited. It has been closed for a long time and it's now closed again. I think it now, I suppose, presents an opportunity for us as a council to engage directly with Fulch Ireland. We have been allocated a lot of funding for the urban regeneration in Letterkenny, and part of that submission at the time was a tourism facility in the old courthouse in Letterkenny, and I think there's an opportunity for us to engage directly with Fulch Ireland to maybe identify what their intentions are going forward, to have a tourism office in the heart of the town, in the centre of the town, and there possibly is opportunities for the council to engage directly about what the future use should be of the Fulch Ireland office in Letterkenny, because the council has some plans going forward with regards to economic development, and I think if we sit around the table with good intentions, that this could be a 1-1 situation.
Where is the tourist office currently? Sorry.
It's just off the Polestar roundabout.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's in terms of people coming into town, it's different people living in and around the town or travelling through. If a decent idea of the geography, to all intents and purposes, people will go to the heart of the town and will think there isn't one really, won't they? And they probably won't make their way out that far.
No, well, I think I suppose the needs of many offices, including tourist offices, changed over the last number of years with online. And back in the day when one would be calling in for brochures and maps and different information, that's now not the case. There's so much information available online. But I think it could be a real good added addition to the town centre in Letterkenny, being part of a sort of a tourism destination.
Yeah, I think a lot of us still like to go in and chat.
Well.
You can't. I mean, I know that the internet's there and all that type of stuff, and it's useful, but you can't beat sometimes going in and chatting to someone and being, verbally signposted. And people of a certain generation too probably want to get the documentation into their hands. I think there's still a certainly a good argument for a physical tourist office in a good location. The argument you're making, effectively.
And I think there's an opportunity here to have additional services with the tourist office in Letterkenny, and that could be information that one could maybe, see information about the likes of Slieve League, about Irish Forest Park, about Fannet Head, Glenveigh, and a sort of a information available that people can go online and see exactly what's available to them before they would get there. And there's a lot of investment going on in Donegal at the moment with Dunree and Mallinhead and so many other parts. So if people were staying around Letterkenny, which is in the heart of the Wild Atlantic Way, then they could explore all the information and the destinations to go. And I think this is an ideal location for that. And I think we need to be working hand in hand with Fylde Ireland. So what I'm looking for is direct engagement around the table. We need to all demonstrate that we're serious about it. And I think this presents a good opportunity. And I think the old courthouse is a landmark building. And I think there's opportunity there even during the summer months then that musicians and stuff could be placed outside the tourist office and add to the atmosphere around the town. And as you say, people could feel then they could walk in and ask the questions, whatever. So hopefully this is an opportunity that can turn into something positive. But at the moment, I think it's not good for anyone.
Yeah, and just in general, do you think more needs to be done to have Letterkenny as a tourism destination? Obviously, a lot of people come to Letterkenny. It's a very busy town. A lot of people base themselves in Letterkenny and travel to the places you mentioned, Slieve League, Inishowen, wherever they might choose to go. Like, does Letterkenny do well out of tourism, or do you feel more needs to be done to boost those numbers?
Well, I think in fairness, we have probably the most hotel beds in the northwest in Letterkenny, so an awful lot of people would base themselves in Letterkenny while doing the Wild Atlantic Way and while going to many places throughout the northwest. And I think there's an opportunity for us to improve the offer in the evening time after their dinner when they walk up and down the street, that there's somewhere to go and there's information available to them. And that could involve the music sessions, and it could involve them finding out more about what's in Glenveigh, what's in Errigal Mountain, what's in West Donegal, where it's the Crawley Distillery. And there's a lot of good things happening in the county, but I think we need to try and improve how we manage the messaging and get as much information out there. And I think the accommodation base that's there at the minute is very strong and it's very good and it's positive and it's one of the best that we have in the whole of the northwest. So I think this will be an added addition, working with the people at the stakeholders to improve that. And I think we have a good story to tell here, and I think we need to be trying to improve that offer in the evening time, that people have somewhere to go.
Yeah, and I mean, you only have to look at some of the stats come out of Ireland West Airport as it relates to the direction of travel when tourists come in, whether they go south or north. Just generally, I think I'm not being parochial here, or maybe I am, but I think Donegal has more to offer than anywhere on the West Coast in terms of variety now and all that type of stuff. But still, sometimes it feels that I don't think we get enough focus on driving people from the agencies, driving people up here and selling the product that we actually have. People are still going to be frustrated that maybe traffic only goes as far as, Bundoran at times or Donegal town. I mean, there's so much right across this beautiful county that if we got a little extra push in the marketing, we'd be on the pig's back even more so in the summer and beyond.
Well, I think of one thing that COVID did learn is that an awful lot of people from the south and southeast of the country came up here for the first time and they weren't going away on holidays, and they've experienced the beaches, they've experienced what we have here to offer. And I think there's an opportunity now for us to take that a step further. But in the world we live in now with technology and apps and everything else, I think having everything available in somewhere like the old courthouse in Letterkenny, where people could go in visually and see what's happening at Glenveigh, and visually what's happening in Dunree, and visually what's happening in so many other facilities around the county, that they themselves then could decide which trip they're going to take at any given day. And I think there's a lot of positives for us here if we all come together. And I think, working together is the only option that we have. And I think the council has stepped into this area over the last number of years with a huge amount of investment in marketing and stuff. So we have the product there. A lot of good projects have been funded. So hopefully we can try and take this a step further, and that's exactly what I'm trying to achieve here.
Yeah, and there's no doubt Donegal County Council have really stopped it up to the plate in terms of trying to control the narrative and get the Donegal message out there. There's in fairness. Also up for discussion, you've a question down as it relates to an update on the 4 lanes project in Letterkenny. it's not exactly still a hive of activity there. I don't know what's going on. What questions do you now believe need answered as it relates to, firstly, the progress of this project and I suppose cost and finish dates?
I think I'm only asking the questions that's been asked of me on a daily basis. I mean, a lot of people are frustrated with the delays and the time frame here involved in this project, and they're, I suppose, on a daily basis, they're having the same questions that you're having, Greg. You're out on the road every day, and people are very concerned that there seems to be a lack of manpower on this project and have been for some time. And has it been delayed for any particular reason? And I think we're dealing here with public money. We need to know exactly what's the total cost involved, what's causing the delays, and what's the time frame. I mean, the last time that we had a discussion on it, it was muted that it was going to be March next year before this project was completed. And people are right to be asking the questions. And as of course we know, coming into Christmas time now, it's a very busy time for businesses. And people are very concerned about the cost. And some people have indicated that this could finally end up at around 10 million. I'm not sure. It's something that I've always been very concerned about at the start. But I think how this project has been managed definitely has caused a lot of concern locally and a lot of questions. And I think we're obliged to ask the questions. And I think that the people managing this project must come and tell us exactly what's happening.
Yeah, because you talk about the public cost, and you're correct, the overall cost, but a different cost, which is, which is hard to put a figure on, is the cost to business. The cost of businesses on the 4 lanes, the cost of businesses in Letterkenny. You know yourself, and that people will say, oh, it's a nightmare in Letterkenny at the moment, I'll go somewhere else. So it's not just the... thankfully, people still in big numbers are going into the town, but it's not just the actual, cost that we know of. It's that cost that's hard to determine, the impact on Letterkenny through the summer into autumn, and as you say, coming up until Christmas. I mean, I think we're entitled to know what the hold-up is here. I mean, do you have any idea what the hold-up is? What is going on that you have the biggest road project in Donegal with a dozen people working on it most times? I asked these questions of your colleague Donald Manda Kelly before. Why did the council allow work to carry on during the day? What was the purpose of that, and what was achieved by that?
But this is why we're asking all the questions. And for elected members, we've been only getting sort of information on a drip feed basis. We haven't been getting the information that we should have been getting, and it changed every so often. We're due to get another briefing again, but the information to elected members has been sort of on a drip feed basis. And I think we're only asking the questions the public's asking of us. And I think this project has definitely eroded a lot of the confidence in Donegal County Council and in TAI, how it's been managed, because the one question that everybody's asking and have been asking for a long number of months is how come there's not too many working on this road.
Mm-hmm. And there's been no satisfactory answer to point. I think there was a press release that stated that the road was 80% completed. I mean, that's almost insulting to the people, I think, to suggest that.
Yeah, well, we'll just have to wait the outcome of what they're going to tell us and the answer to questions now later on today and the further meetings that we hope to have. But as I say, this hasn't done good for the public confidence that people may have in the road service.
Yeah. And that's at a meeting later today, isn't it? We'll all find out what the outcome of that is. Right, okay. Thank you very much for your time this morning, Kieran. I appreciate it. Oh, sorry, I just wanted to... that's the reason I'm stuttering. You mentioned that this eventually could cost 10 million. Was this not a fixed price contract, no?
No, that's the questions that we're asking, and that was only brought to my attention late last week that somebody said that it could cost 10 million before it's finished. So that's why I'm putting down the question. I want to know exactly what the figures are, and I think the public deserve to know exactly what they are as well.
Yeah,
and if they are more than the original figure, then we need to know why.
For sure, because I mean, is it because of? I mean, I didn't realise road projects prices could increase because, say, for instance, an increase in materials. Maybe costs are going up because so few people are working on it for such a long time. I think those are the questions that people will really want to know, and I'm sure you're going to ask them all. So thanks for your time, and we're definitely going to get an update on that certainly tomorrow, if that's okay. Yeah, however we manage to do that. All right, thank you very much indeed. Kieran Brogan, he is talking on those two issues there as it relates to the provision of a tourism facilities in the heart of the town, but also to that 4 lanes road project. A listener says there's a load of information at the County Museum. They have a stand with brochures on it. I've often got fantastic information there. Yes, indeed. Okay, thank you very much for that information.
Live free in 2023 with Dunloe GAA Club. €500 cash weekly, a holiday to Dubai, All-Ireland final tickets and more. Winner takes all. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Have you bought your NCBI Radio Bingo book yet? Contribute to this fantastic charity and be in with a chance to win daily cash prizes of €400. Books are now available from your local retailer.
Greener choices are the key to a sustainable future. That's why Energia offer a reduced night rate for charging electric vehicles and free home charging points for new EV owners, all of it powered by 100% green electricity. Because the choices we all make today will change how we live tomorrow. EAB €1,588, 13.75 cent night rate. Free charger T's and C's apply. See energia.ie.
If you're a business owner wondering what to get your staff for Christmas, Kelly Centra and Letterkenny have great hampers to suit all budgets. Luxury hampers are a speciality with delivery available. Also vouchers for Kelly's award-winning diner or Circle K fuel at the forecourt. Get Christmas sorted for your staff now at Kelly Centra, Mountaintop Letterkenny. Call 91-22026.
Hello, Hill 16 Insurance. How can I help you? Up the dubs.
Hi. I am looking for a home insurance quote.
Righto, and what part of Dublin do you live in?
I don't actually live in Dublin.
Right. Do you at least support the dubs?
What? I'm just looking for home insurance.
Well, you're going to have to keep looking, pal, because Hill 16 is Dublin only.
Do you get the feeling that your insurer doesn't want you? Well, at Local Insurance, we are Irish owned and understand your needs. Call us today for a bespoke quote on 0818 894 444. Local Insurance, we'll get you sorted. The Local Insurance Network, DAC Trading's Local Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland. Local Insurance is a tied insurance intermediary of Acorn Brokerage Limited. Acorn Brokerage Limited, trading as Acorn Insurance, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
What if someone in the house has medical equipment that uses electricity?
What if my mum has mobility problems and needs to charge her electric walker?
Everyone's concerned about rising energy bills, some more than others. But there could be circumstances that classify you as a vulnerable customer. Just check with your supplier and be sure to register. Talk to your supplier or find out more at cru.ie. Here to shed light on your energy rights. Brought to you by the Commission for Regulation of Utilities.
A caller says that the council have made a sham of the MICA scheme and there should be a separate department set up to deal with it. Not only are they not dealing with it properly, but they are facilitating the companies responsible for the scandal. Ministers involved should be hanging their heads in shame and respectively resigning over this. What is happening to the day centre in Carndonagh, or are we getting the same old story? They looked into it. It's been closed since the COVID. To say it is a joke is an understatement. Older people that worked hard all their lives, nowhere to go. They're talking about a turf cutting ban. What about the raw sewage in Donegal? It is a disgrace. Thank you. Touching on a couple of issues there, but I take your point. A caller says also a family member was admitted to the hospital mid last week by ambulance. They have a history of strokes in the past. Last Friday they were told they needed an MRI to know if they'd had a stroke or not. They're still waiting on that MRI. Nurses are pushing for it every day. 1 week of laying in a bed to get an MRI, and once the MRI is done, the patient will get home. 1 week waiting also means 1 week of occupying a bed which could be given to one of the many patients in the ED waiting. This patient is now physically fine, but is being kept in for an MRI. How does this make sense? Well, it doesn't. And access to diagnostics and also step-down care, community beds, all of the major factors that are problems, not just at Letterkenny University Hospital, by the way, but in hospitals right across the country. I don't have all the answers, but sure, we'll keep plugging away for them for you. Greg, on the holiday home owners getting the €600 electricity credit, one way to solve that is to put a line on the revenue returns as to whether or not you own a holiday home. And if you do, you must add 600 to the total taxes owed to revenue. That's one person's suggestion there. Can someone explain to me how or why a ramp has been placed on the road entrance to Letterkenny from Rockhill? Where else would you see the likes of this on a main road? I'm not familiar with that ramp or that route. Is that something you've noticed? Are you happy with it? Unhappy? It's a ramp that's been placed on the road entrance to Letterkenny from Rockhill. Where else would you see it? Asks that caller. Another caller says, hi Greg, can you please help us with our street lights? We're in a rural area. Our light has been out for over a year. We've been on to our councillors. We're in Monfad Newtown Cunningham, poll number 6, if you can help. Thank you so much. Well, we'll chase that up. We'll chase that up for you. I don't know what's going on. I was told that those lights can be fixed really quite quickly, but obviously not the case. We've had a couple of calls along those lines. Right, now, Paul Gallagher is an interior designer and architect at the University of East London, and Paul's winning entry into a competition we're going to tell you about. Well, it's a significant one. It's a $100,000 prize to design and build a wheelchair-accessible treehouse. Paul joins us now. Good morning to you. Thanks for your time today.
Hi, good morning, Greg. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you loud and clear. It's a fascinating story, this one. So what is the competition and who's running it?
So it's run by Airbnb. I think everyone knows Airbnb for the short stays and lets around the country. But they ran this competition to design the quirkiest kind of places to stay around the world. I'm an architect. I teach at the University of East London. And I'm based in London, but I'm back in Donegal quite frequently. But we won. I think it's a crazy idea. So we designed a tree house that was accessible for disabled people, which is kind of, usually these experiences are very much for able-bodied people. So the idea was that, anyone can use it, and it's kind of very inclusive.
I like the idea of it because, and I think it's particularly with young people, the idea of a young person, seeing their peers able to go up and it would be very demoralizing. It would be very sad. Now, of course, all tree houses can't be made wheelchair accessible, but I think it's a nice touch to sort of look at this. Why did you decide to go down this road?
Because I've got relatives in wheelchairs, and I've also been on these kind of vacations or stays, short-term stays with people who needed special assistance, and it did feel very much like they were second-class citizens, and everything felt very clinical, very kind of white and hospital-y looking. So I like the idea that inclusive design is invisible, that you don't actually have to get all this special stuff to kind of fold down and pull out, and that everyone it's brilliant. And oh, by the way, yes, it is wheelchair accessible, but no one really has to talk about it.
Yeah. It's just a given. Yeah, okay, I like it.
Yeah.
So now the fun starts, right? $100,000 seems like an awful lot of money, but I don't know. Do you have to go through planning? I presume it's going to be permanent structure. You have to source the materials, get the work people on site. You know what I mean? Like $100,000 seems like a lot of money, but
yeah, you're right. And now the fun starts. And then we're great at doing these lovely visuals as architects, like these dreamy scenarios, like, oh, this is lovely. And then you win and you're like, oh God, now we have to figure out how to build this thing. But I'm lucky. Dad's pretty handy. Dad's a builder. He's kind of with the Urban District Council back in the day in Letterkenny, and then the clerk of works with the health board. So Dad's pretty handy with machines and motors and engines and things. Say hello to Dad, Cyril Gallagher from Ballinamacul there. He's helping me along, and we're trying to find a site that's very scenic, but kind of getting the site also kind of eats into the budget, like getting a nice site on the water. And Donegal's woken up to the staycation, and the kind of COVID has meant we've appreciated the wild Atlantic way. And also there's brilliant glamping pods all around Donegal. Like Creeshla's got some great examples. So we're not the first to do this, but I think it's going to be the first that has this kind of robotic hydraulic aspect to it. But yeah, getting this built will be a lot of fun. And I'm
thinking if you got some sort of prefabbed 2-bedroomed wooden shed and tried to put it on a nice scenic site somewhere in Donegal, you would need to double your budget. So you're really gonna have to work smart here, Paul.
Work really smart and work with Donegal County Council, I think. So we've been on to them. The first phone call I made actually when I found out I won was straight to the lads and the women at Donegal County Council.
Poor father.
Yeah. I've won this competition. I said I'm not going to do it behind the council's back. I want to work with the council, because obviously the net benefit is tourism coming to the country.
It's huge. It is, and it's going to be spotlighted on Airbnb. And whether people like them or loathe them, they're a worldwide platform, and they'll be pushing this big time. So it's massive for Donegal.
It's huge, and there's only been 2 Irish winners of this. The other one, I don't know who it is or where it is, but in the US, there was, over time, I think there's been about 40 winners of this prize fund. It's always $100,000. They always give $100,000. And I'm kind of, half of me thinking, God, if it didn't move, this would have been a lot simpler. But the fact that I've designed this robotic hydraulic thing, the budget's going to be tight, very tight. But no, it's fun. And I've kind of been looking at where to put it in Donegal now. And actually what's interesting is a lot of Scottish companies have contacted me and said, look, we love the idea, put it in Scotland. I've had two companies in Essex say, look, we'll actually deliver it and give you another $100,000 to put it in Essex, so they can see the benefit of this. But now I'm kind of becoming a very kind of proud Donegal man and said, no, I'm bringing it back to Donegal, and I think it will promote tourism. Like you say, Airbnb will promote this.
And are they the other people that sort of seeing the bigger picture of this? Are they people that could sort of make this design quite handy? And they say, right, well, we'll you plot it here, then people can come and see it, and then we can sell these sort of things. So they're seeing the commercial benefits as well. That's why you're seeing companies tapping
exactly,
up,
yeah.
Okay.
They can see the commercial benefits of this, and they see it, and that's not how I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it as a way to bring people to Donegal and put Donegal on the map a bit more.
Yeah.
Of course, there will be a commercial benefit.
But you know what? I think really what that tells me is when people are prepared to spend their own money, they can see it. So, we need to make sure that, say, for instance, from a council or tourism perspective, especially with public money or whatever it might be, if people are prepared to put the money from their own pockets into something like this, that's a strong indication that it'd be well in the interests of public bodies to support this.
Definitely. I mean, I'm calling you from Spain now. I was flown over to Spain to do a big press thing for this.
Brilliant.
So I
couldn't
didn't
make it.
Yeah, sorry, you didn't get the invite. I'm amazed at the outreach of this. Like, they've gone really big on press. So it's only and they keep asking me where's Donegal, which is great. Already I've got people from all over the world asking me where is Donegal. So it's great. And now I think the trick is finding the perfect site that really sells Donegal in one snapshot. Somewhere on the coast. I think it's got to be on the coast. I'm edging towards the Dunlow area. I've got family in Dunlow, and my Auntie Anne and my mum's from Dunlow. So I'm edging towards the kind of Rosses because I think it's beautiful down there, and the people are quite welcoming, and there's pubs and there's restaurants and there's good food. Because people, and also you got to think, someone in a wheelchair in a disabled friendly stay, that's one thing, but they've got to be able to use the facilities around the area as well. They've got to. There's no point me doing this perfectly and then nowhere for them to go for a kind of a hike or a walk or a kind of with their friends. So it has to be level thresholds. And I know there's a beach down in Portneuf or Nairn.
That's right, yeah. The first, one of the first in the county and only one in the country with a fully accessible beach with amazing wheelchair.
So, and there's a rationale beside putting it next to that, so that you're offering not just my amenity but a whole beach. So those guys have spoken to me. So there's a lot happening very fast now, but it's really exciting. It's really fun.
So, as much as you can, I mean, you're an architect and it's a visual thing, really, I suppose. You could tick the boxes by building a tree house, nice but plain, and having some way of a lift or some other way that a wheelchair could get up into it. But obviously, this is far much beyond that. So you talked about mechanical elements to it. Can you give us an idea of your vision orally?
Yes, yeah. It opened. The best way to describe it is like a Venus flytrap flower. The flower that opens and closes. So the lid of this thing opens like a flower, and then the pod kind of rises up within. But you can enter at a level threshold. It's very. What's the best way to describe it? It's like origami, Japanese kind of Asian folded paper. The metal structure around it, which is like a rain screen, is almost like folded paper. It's very sharp and angular and geometric. Catches the light, nice shadows and everything. But I think the magic of this is people don't expect it to do anything, and then you press a button, and then it's like magic. It opens up, and the thing rises up inside, and then it's like a glass bubble inside that rises up. That raises all sorts of other questions, like what about privacy? How do you stop people looking in when you're looking out? Or you want 360 panoramic views, but you don't want other people looking up. So there's still a lot to design here.
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's like a big. We enter loads of competitions. We don't win them all. So I do this all the time, and then nothing ever comes of it.
I was just reminded of a video I saw of people who they decided to for privacy tint. The tint that they put on cars on their back windows and doors, but they put it all back to front.
Right, yeah.
Very complete. Nothing they could see outside and everyone could see. And so if you're going down that route, and I presume you'll come up with something more scientific, put the tint the right way round. Obviously, then this has to have accommodation, Paul, does it, with the Airbnb element to it? That's part of this as well, yeah?
They're pretty strict. They want it rented out by August in the summer coming. So it's not like, you've watched these grand designs where they go over budget and over time. This is one where they're not accepting that. So my whole meeting in Spain here is about, like, you've got to deliver this, and you've got to have people renting it on the first. Also, there's a commercial benefit for Airbnb here. They get a percentage of every stay. So, I mean, if this goes really well, they probably get their money back.
Yeah.
You know, so great for Donegal, I think.
Yeah. So in terms of anyone listening, like, are you looking for suggestions for places in the Rosses? When we talk about a tree house, does it have to be associated with a tree?
No.
Yeah.
No, it's really interesting because I've been googling the hell out of tree houses since I won this, like looking and the best examples are in Scandinavia. But there's tree protection orders that mean you can't really touch trees. You can't go near trees. And if you build too close, you damage the root ball or the root of the tree. So actually, you need to be surrounded by landscape and trees, but realistically, you won't be actually interacting with trees that much. But yeah, we are looking for sites. We're looking for good ideas. And the thing's quite small. It's about the size of 2 double beds stuck side by side, you know? So it's not very big. So we're looking for beautiful sites on the coast, and maybe there's someone out there who just wants to offload a corner of a site. But yeah, if anyone actually does have a good site in mind, email info@zaparchitecture.com. So info@zap architecture, all one word, zaparchitecture.com. Because yeah, I could drive around the county and find loads of beautiful sites, but I don't know if someone wants to sell them or.
I get you, indeed. And just last question or maybe two. It sounds to me like this will be a structure that will be, for the most part, prefabricated and then brought on the sides, primarily metallic.
It will be prefabricated. Yeah, it's metallic, it's glass, and it's got all the hydraulic moving parts. So my ideal scenario is it's built in a big factory somewhere, and it's just craned into site, and it's dropped in. There's also an aspect of that. If it goes really well, you could add in another 2 or 3 of them. So you have the blueprints, and you just keep building more and more of them, and drop them all over the county. But yeah, it's exciting. I mean, it's all new to us. We're usually the guys who get called to draw the pictures, and then we never hear anything about this ever again. But this is one I will own, so it's very exciting.
Yeah, it really is. Well done. It's a remarkable achievement because this is a global organisation, and this is a significant prize fund, and particularly, you know, a Donegal winner, and it being located in Donegal with huge tourism potential, pictured everywhere. And it's not just the actual stay in it. It's the visuals of the views and everything that people would see, and it attracts more people here. It's organic, and it's really good. Congratulations, Paul. Thanks for taking the time out this morning.
Thanks very much.
Right, bye-bye. Take care of yourself.
Bye-bye.
All right, that is Paul Gallagher there. Have you noticed diesel prices are through the roof? Absolutely through the roof. They've gone up 4%. They're the second highest they've ever been, or they've been for quite some time. We're going to be talking about perhaps potential reasons why after these.
Live free in 2023 with Dunloe GAA Club. Winner takes all. Prize includes €500 cash paid every week next year. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Hi folks, Paul McDevitt here, inviting to join myself and Jimmy Stafford this Monday night for another edition of the Monday Night Sessions. On the show this week, we welcome Kilcar singer-songwriter Michael Maloney, and local singer-songwriter Regina Kelly will also be joining us for a chat and a few songs, and comedian Ronan Boyle will also be popping in to tell us all about his hilarious new stage show, Orange is the New Green. So, that's the Monday Night Sessions this Monday night between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. right here on Highland Radio.
Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure Main Street, Letterkenny. Women's clothing from your favourite sports brands: Nike, Under Armour and Adidas. Nike Performance quarter zips, tees and vests with matching Nike Pro shorts and tights. Nike Yoga range just arrived. Tees, bra tops and tights, offering you support during your workout. New jackets, hoodies and tights. Join our Christmas club by opening an account today at Brian McCormick Sports, Main Street, Letterkenny.
Sometimes it's just bad luck, but sometimes it's negligence. From minor bumps to life-changing injury, every accident has a story. Time to call McElhenney and Associates. They'll assess the situation, advise on solutions, and lead the way if any litigation is to follow. From motor accidents and workplace accidents to slips, trips and falls, call today on 074 917 5989 or find us online. Let's get you started on the road to recovery. McElhenney and Associates Solicitors, Stranorlar. How can we help? In contentious business, a solicitor may not calculate fees or other charges as a percentage or proportion of any award or settlement.
Ballybuffet is the ideal place for all your Christmas celebrations this year. You can enjoy a festive atmosphere with excellent service and outstanding food at the Villa Rose and Jackson's hotels. We have a lively array of party nights, events and hotel packages to choose from. Visit us for festive dining with friends in one of our cosy and inviting bars and restaurants. See jacksonshotel.ie and villarose.ie for full details.
Hello, Farmer Tinney here. The Christmas Club is now open at Tinney's Toys Letterkenny. Loads of top brand toys in stock. #1 in Donegal for electric ride-on toys, pedal farm toys and go-karts. Buy now and pay later with Klarna. No extra charges. Check us online at tinnystoys.com or call into our Leck Road store Letterkenny. Tinney's Toys, your local toy store. Down boy.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.eu.
Okay, any residual mist and low cloud will clear during the morning, leaving sunny spells and scattered showers, some turning heavy at times. Temperatures 12 to 14 degrees, winds moderate west to southwest. Okay, so as I mentioned before the break, you're seeing now, aren't you, diesel around about 206, 207 per litre. It's really high. Paddy Cummin is of AA Ireland. He joins us now. Paddy, as much as we can determine, what's causing this rise in diesel prices? The price of a barrel of oil, there was a bit of a peak, but I don't think it's going up the way the price of diesel is.
Yeah, good morning to you and good morning to the listeners. Look, there are a couple of reasons for it, and I've been asking the people in inverted commas in the know, but what I'm told is that because a lot of the diesel products that we use came primarily from Russia, lots of countries, especially across Europe and ourselves, have been backing away slowly from Russian oil. And the result is that while Europe, it seems, is pretty much awash with petrol and there's plenty of supply, there is starting to be a little bit of a difficulty with diesel. And it's not that there's not enough of it, it's just that the suppliers have become fewer. And in particular, the oil refineries who are making the diesel products are actually making more profits than ever before. There's lots of them capitalising on the fact that there are fewer people doing it, and the result is that by the time it gets to us, the product has become a lot more expensive, and of course locally we pay plenty of tax on it. But that seems to be the reason why we've seen just that increase in the price of diesel significantly, 4%, 20 cents a litre on average. And just by the sound of the price that you mentioned, Donegal in particular seems to be one of the counties most affected.
Yeah, 206, 207, 206.9 to me, that's 207. I saw that this morning. So when we look at trends then, and you look at the price of a barrel of oil, you look at what the oil producers are saying in terms of switching the taps off and on, petrol and diesel were always linked. So, you could almost track then where they were going dependent on what's happening elsewhere. Are you saying that now maybe petrol prices is more linked to that type of stuff, but diesel has been decoupled? In other words, there is nothing to predict necessarily that we might see diesel come down to 180 a litre again?
You're 100% right. I think decoupling is a very good word for it because petrol is a reasonably plentiful product for now, thankfully. But diesel was always a slightly different channel, if you like. And, none of us would have necessarily had to pay attention to that before. But now, once we see the pricing change, and I think, and it's difficult to predict pricing, but this is something that could continue for some time to come because diesel is one of those products that is a little bit different, and we have been getting it traditionally from Russian oil, and that's something that is going to be ending, if not totally ending.
Yeah, the problem is that people maybe were seeing the sale of hybrids, petrols increasing, and maybe people are switching to, I don't know, but taxis, haulage, agriculture, bus airing, whatever it might be. A lot of vehicles, very important vehicles, run on diesel, and we are going to end up paying more for that, presumably. I mean, it is a problem, big problem.
It is an issue because, yes, as you accurately said there, diesel is still the fuel that gets the nation around in terms of public services, public transport. We are starting to see changes away from that especially with private cars. Diesel is now in the minority now. We're seeing a big jump for petrol, hybrid, and of course electric cars rather, which are 80% up compared to last year. But for hauliers, for buses, etc., any increase in the price of diesel is a difficulty, and invariably the cost ends up being passed on to us one way or the other.
Yeah. All right. Listen, Paddy, no good news there, but thanks for your info. Appreciate it. That's Paddy Cumming there of AA Ireland. We'll be back with more on the 9 till noon show after the news and obituary notices with Donal.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. Donal Kavanagh at the news desk. Rishi Sunak is expected to be confirmed as the new UK Prime Minister later today. Boris Johnson withdrew from the Tory leadership race last night, leaving only Rishi Sunak and Penny Mordaunt in the race. Sunak will be confirmed as leader if he's the only candidate with 100 Tory supporters by this afternoon's deadline. It's suggested he has well above the requisite 100, while Penny Mordaunt is well below it. The old courthouse in Letterkenny has the potential to be a major focus for tourism in Donegal. That's according to a local councillor. At present, the Fáilte Ireland office in Letterkenny is just off the Polestar roundabout and is closed to the public for much of the time. Councillor Kieran Brogan says the council should meet with Fáilte Ireland to discuss the future provision of tourism facilities and opportunities. He told Greg on the 9 till noon show this morning that one option is for Fáilte Ireland to relocate to the old courthouse, with the council possibly using its existing office for another purpose.
There's an opportunity for us to engage directly with Fáilte Ireland to maybe identify what their intentions are going forward, to have a tourism office in the heart of the town, in the centre of the town. And there possibly is opportunities for the council to engage directly about what the future use should be of the Fáilte Ireland office in Letterkenny, because the council has some plans going forward with regards to economic development. And I think if we sit around the table with good intentions, that this could be a 1-1 situation.
A report to be published today has revealed a 30% increase in the number of patients who attended Donegal's sexual assault treatment unit last year. 101 patients attending in 2021 compared to 70 in 2020. More details and a breakdown of the figures on our website, highlandradio.com. Donegal County Council is being asked to carry out inspections on all drain gullies in Letterkenny and to ensure they're all flushed and cleaned out as quickly as possible. The call will be made at a meeting of Letterkenny Milford Municipal District this week by Mayor Councillor Donal Mandy Kelly. He says recent flooding in Glenswilly has shown what can happen if gullies and drains aren't monitored and cleaned. He says work on a new pipe there should be complete either by this evening or tomorrow. But in the meantime, he says a comprehensive study is needed now to ensure that what happened in Glenswilly doesn't happen elsewhere.
I've got phone calls from numerous housing estates within the town and even the dry arch roundabout that was flooded there recently as well, due to gullies being blocked. And if you take a look around there in some areas of the town, there's actually gullies with grass growing out of them. I'm asking that these gullies be inspected and all be cleaned, especially now coming into the winter months. We have a lot of rainfall there this last couple of weeks, hoping for a good response on this and that inspection will be carried out.
Draft proposals for the Ballyshannon Town Centre Regeneration Project are going to public consultation. Members of the public can share their views on the proposals with Council from tomorrow until the 8th of November. With more detail, here's Daniel Brennan.
The Ballyshannon Town Centre Regeneration Project aims to revitalise several areas of the town. Donegal County Council say that regeneration works would include projects at the Market Yard and the Three Bridges Loop Walk, as well as investments in new car parking facilities, public amenity areas, new artisan enterprise units, as well as new public conveniences, tourist and public transport facilities. You can view the plans online at the County Council's website or at a public information event from 3 o'clock until 8 this Tuesday evening at St Anne's Hall in Ballyshannon. The public consultation begins tomorrow and is set to run until the 8th of November.
And the government is being criticised for promising a referendum on women's place in the home without meaningful steps to improve gender equality. Taoiseach Micheál Martin confirmed this month a vote will take place to remove references to mothers in the Constitution, but told the Oireachtas Committee on Gender Equality he couldn't commit to a timeline because of the complexity of the issue. However, whatever happens, newspaper columnist Brenda Power says in reality, nothing will change.
Because, of course, the truth was and remains the fact that the person who does the majority of what is now called emotional labour, what was then called just running a home and being a housewife, is still a woman. And my point of view is that if you erase the word, take out the word woman, that you are not changing one thing about the reality. You're simply tweaking cosmetically the Constitution to make it more acceptable, but you are not changing the fact.
Weather forecast and Met Éireann tell us that any residual mist or cloud will clear during the morning. That'll leave sunny spells and some scattered showers, a number of those turning heavy at times in top temperatures of 12 to 14 degrees Celsius, moderate west to southwest winds. And that's Highland Radio News. We're back with news headlines again at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. The obituary notices for this Monday morning, the 24th of October. The death has taken place of Frank Doherty Bawn, Malin and Leeds. His remains will repose at his home in Carthage Mountain, Kilkenny, Malin, from 2 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Removal from there on Wednesday morning to St Patrick's Church, Clay, for 11 o'clock Mass, followed by burial in St Mary's Lag. Family time, please, after the Rosary and on the morning of the funeral. The death has taken place of Tony Myra Stewart, 21 Brackenlee, Letterkenny, formerly of 40 Ballycoman Estate, Strabane. Reposing at Quigley's Funeral Home, Strabane, tomorrow morning from 9:30, with removal at 10 o'clock to St Mary's Church, Melmount, for Requiem Mass at 10:30. Cremation afterwards in Lakelands Crematorium. Donations in lieu of flowers, please, to Renewed Charity Shop, Letterkenny, care of Quigley Funeral Directors. The Requiem Mass can be viewed live on melmountparish.com. The death has occurred of Vera Gallen, Navanny Street, Ballabafay. Remains reposing at her brother Lawrence Blee's home at Navanny Street from 12 noon today. Funeral from there on Wednesday morning at 10:30 for Requiem Mass in the Church of Mary Immaculate, Stranora, at 11 o'clock, followed by interment in St Mary's Churchyard, Sesha O'Neill. Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. The house is strictly private to family only, please. The death has taken place of Katie McLaughlin, née Neelis, 15 New Street, Clady. Her remains will repose at her home from 6 o'clock this evening. Funeral from there on Wednesday morning at 10:15 for Requiem Mass in St Columba's Church, Dunnyloop at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed live via the Dunnyloop Chapel YouTube channel. The death has taken place of Davy Canning, 37 Dublin Street, Newton Stewart. His remains are reposing at his home. Funeral from there tomorrow morning at 10:15 for Requiem Mass in St Eugene's Church, Glenlock at 11 o'clock. Interment afterwards in Glenlock Cemetery. The death has occurred of Phyllis Sweeney, Lakena, Burton Port. Her remains are reposing at her late residence. Viewing from 11 o'clock this morning with Rosary at 9 o'clock tonight. Funeral Mass tomorrow morning at 11 in St Columba's Church, Acres, with interment afterwards in Belcrich Cemetery. The death has occurred of Martin McLaughlin, Dodley, Gort, Fawn. Removal from his late residence this afternoon at 1:15 to St Mary's Church, Fawn, for 2 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu to ICU, Elton Hospital, care of any family member, or Murphy Funeral Directors. The death has taken place of Tony Kelly, Drummahall, Manor Cunningham. Funeral from his daughter Donna and Kevin Higgins' residence in Drummahall this morning at 10:30, going to St Columba's Church, Drummahall, for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass, followed by interment in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu of flowers, if desired, to the Donegal Hospice or Medical Ward 5, Letterkenny University Hospital, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Tessie McGeever, née McCafferty, Glasser-Shoe, Gweedore. Funeral Mass in Chockpubble, Columkill, Knockfulla this morning at 11, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. The Funeral Mass can be viewed live on Kieran Rorty Funeral Director's Facebook page. The death has taken place of Susan Donaghy, née Carton, 40 Traitor Road, Park, County Derry. Funeral from her late residence this morning, leaving at 10:20 for 11 o'clock Requiem Mass in St Mary's Church, Alton-Muir, with interment afterwards in the adjoining graveyard. Family flowers only, please. Donations if desired to Foyle Hospice, care of McLaughlin Funeral Directors, Dungiven. And the death has taken place of Willie James Horrigan, Whitecastle, Quigley's Point. Funeral Mass will take place this morning at 11 o'clock in St Columba's Church, Drung, followed by burial in the adjoining graveyard. The funeral mass can be viewed live on stcolumbusdrung.net. Family flowers only, please. Donations in lieu if desired to the RNLI, care of any family member. The death has taken place of Mary B. Macaulay, Cabry, Quigley's Point. Removal this afternoon from Eternal Light Chapel of Rest, Mountaintop, Letterkenny at 3 o'clock, going to St Columba's Church, Drung, Quigley's Point, to repose overnight. Mary B's funeral mass will take place tomorrow at 11:30, followed by burial in the adjoining cemetery. Funeral mass can be viewed live on stcolumbusdrung.net. And the death has occurred of Philomena McLaughlin, St Dimpna's, Gortnacool, Carndonagh. Philomena's remains will repose at her late residence from 12 noon to 9 p.m. tomorrow. House private, please, at the request of the deceased. Family and friends welcome. Philomena's funeral mass will take place on Wednesday at 2 o'clock in St Patrick's Church, Ohatley, Malin, with interment afterwards in the adjoining cemetery. For more details, including any health requirements from families, please go to highlandradio.com.
If something's free, why would you turn it down? I mean, a free haircut from a 5-year-old. Oh, no. Or a free sample of onion paste. Oh. Well then, how about a free tour of your neighbour's new shed? Oh, sounds, well... OK, look, they were bad examples. But how about a free eye test and free glasses from the €69 range at Specsavers with your PRSI? Well, that sounds like something to smile about.
Book an appointment or find out more at specsavers.ie.
Are you tired of waiting for treatment or surgery? Did you know you can receive immediate treatment across the border under the new NI planned healthcare scheme at potentially no cost? Donegal patients are still being treated with us at Kingsbridge Private Hospital Northwest post-Brexit. The process is easy and our dedicated team will help guide you through it. So why wait? Contact us today to find out how you can skip the waiting lists and receive treatment in Northern Ireland. Visit kingsbridgeprivatehospital.com, because life matters.
Attention all pet lovers and owners. Gary's Pet World Letterkenny is open 7 days per week, offering the very best value on all pet foods, accessories, grooming and care products. Call in and let our staff help you spoil your pet today. You will be amazed by the range of product for all pets, with exceptional value on all leading brands. Alternatively, you can browse and buy online at petworld.ie and we will deliver to your home.
Hi, it's Brian Cunningham here from Brian Cunningham Management, and we, in association with Highland Radio, are bringing our Thanksgiving by Candlelight nationwide tour to the Mount Erical Hotel in Letterkenny, featuring Dana, Chloe Agnew, Brian McGrain, Louise Morrissey, John McNichol and Simon Casey on Tuesday the 22nd of November. Tickets can be purchased from the hotel reception on 074 91 22700 or from the box office on 053 91 27758. The limited number of tickets available for our Thanksgiving by Candlelight nationwide tour in association with Highland Radio.
Live free in 2023 with Dunloe GAA Club. €500 cash weekly, a holiday to Dubai, All Ireland final tickets and more. Winner takes all. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
And you're very welcome back to the programme. Now, just to remind you that the HSE support service will continue in Creeslough in the rooms behind Brennan's Pharmacy from Monday the 24th to Friday the 28th of October, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And you can walk in or contact the support line on 087 147 5138 for a chat or an appointment. The HSE support line is open 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. Now, appointment can also be arranged for people who want to attend in Letterkenny. So for anyone who wishes to avail of these services outside of the Creeslough area, and some understandably might, the HSE can facilitate you in another area where you can call the support line there again, 087 140 5138. Now, everyone who was affected by the incident or impacted by it in any way is asked to avail of these services, or invited to. And you can also contact your own GP wherever you are, or GP's practice. They'll be able to assist you in accessing those services where you require them. Right, I just need to let you know that there is a very bad oil spill, it's been described, on the Termon to Creasla Road. So if you're travelling that route, Termon to Creasla, a bad oil spill on that stretch. We were talking about diesel prices there. I spotted 206.9 earlier. A caller says it's 209 in Dunlow. Whilst another says diesel is 189.9 at the Go service station in Blackline in West Cavan. I filled up at that petrol station yesterday. That's coming in from Sean in St Johnstone. Thanks, Sean. Again, as I said last week, and this is not in any way to pardon or excuse, it really depends on how much diesel these places sell and when they got their last order in or not. I think everywhere diesel is going to be over 2 cents per litre, just depending on when they get their new stocks. A caller says, I have said for years that the tourist office could not have been put in a worse location. And last year, when the council asked for ideas about the traffic at the Polestar roundabout, I made my views known online. Why is it taken until now for a councillor to mention it? A big loss to Letterkenny is there are no bus tours to all the lovely places Councillor Brogan is mentioning. If someone comes to our lovely town, but they depend on public transport or private bus tours, they're in for a massive disappointment. Another caller. Hi, a few years ago when we first got our bus passes, we took our tour around the country. And as we got off buses at most towns, the tourist office was in sight. And we just had to cross the road to book our accommodation. It was very useful. Yeah, indeed, that's kind of what I was talking about. I know there's an awful lot of online stuff, but you know, you have to imagine you're from out the area, if outside the area. If I was lucky enough to get away to, say, I don't know, Albufeira, and I wanted to book something or find out some information, I would seek out a tourist office, because I think in talking to someone, I'd be assured that it wasn't a scam or that it was legit or that it had a good reputation. You know, I would look for that assurance, and I'm sure people coming here look for the same. Another caller says Letterkenny town is gridlocked at the moment from 8:30 due to a lack of the bypass road that should be up by now instead of wasting time and finances on the Port Road. Focus on this first, they say. Derry moved its tourist office fairly recently into a more central location. They moved it from the edge of the city centre onto Fall Street to the old Ulster Bank building on Waterloo Place, right in the city centre. The new tourist office in Derry is a real state-of-the-art affair, a great resource for the entire northwest. Letterkenny badly needs a similar facility. Sen in St Johnstone lets us know. One way to save money is to sit further away from the table. What's that about? Don't know. Okay, maybe it's an old saying. It's called backhanderism. All right, okay. It's backhand. It's you know, the art of backhanding. A registered builder in Donegal and waste of time asking questions. We all know what happened. Don't be asking the councillors. Ask the Donegal County Council foreman that's looking after the job what they've done on the road. Any of us local builders could have done what they've done. Well, the local council for people can report back to the council and say that, you know, this isn't happening, that isn't happening. The actual relationship is the council for people can't there and direct what people do. They can oversee, report back to the council. It's the relationships between a contractor and the council. Hi, Greg. Most days you have members of Donegal County Council on your show, but never an opinion from our female county councillors. I'd like to hear their opinions and for name recognition at the next election. We have them. They're invited regularly, okay? Let me just say that first and foremost. Also, 8% of the council is made up of women. So there's a massive underrepresentation there. But people have other things to do as well at the same time, and not everyone of them wants to go on the radio. We extend invites all the time. Sometimes they're taken up, and others they are not. But we actively, and there's other things that go on behind the background too, to actively try and make sure that all voices are represented. And I'll say proudly, if you don't mind, if you listen around to other radio stations, you might not see the same level of representation. We go out of our way to try and ensure that as many voices that need to be heard are heard. So I'm kind of proud of that, but it is tough. I'm not going to lie, it is tough because not everyone's available, and then there's fewer numbers and so on and so forth. All right, good luck if you are playing the bingo. We're going to be speaking to Donegal legend. I think she's already got that. It's bandied about, but I don't think I'm bandying it about. I think Amber Barrett already has the Donegal legend tag. She has for me anyway. She's also our Irish international footballer. We're going to be getting her reaction to the World Cup draw after we take these messages. But first, what we'll do actually is give you a chance to win big on the bingo. Here are the numbers.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Monday the 24th of October. You're playing on the green sheet. The reference number is S11. It's game number 43. The numbers are 80, 62, 38, 85, 11, 25, 9, 74, 23, and finally 70. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 tonight, leaving your name, contact number and the name of the shop where you purchased your book, and we'll call you back the next working day. Get all your NCBI bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Live free in 2023 with Dunloe GAA Club. Winner takes all. Prize includes €500 cash paid every week next year. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Hi, I'm Dave. And I'm Steve. And we're the Happy Pair. Did you know if it says the Happy Pair on it, you can be sure
it's healthy, plant-based, made using the best locally sourced ingredients and sustainable.
And we are award-winning too, so you know it's worth it.
You'll find us in your local Centra and SuperValu.
The Happy Pair. Eat well, feel good, live better.
The world awaits you. Make that dream your next adventure. Cruise the Caribbean. Sail from Crete to Corsica. Soak in Santorini sunsets. Dine on the shores of the Indian Ocean. Stroll through cobbled streets for hidden gems, or bring the little ones to a magical wonderland. Trust the award-winning Atlantic Travel to guide your next adventure. Step through our doorway to the world. Atlantic Travel, Letterkenny.
For day-to-day healthcare needs, generations have trusted the experienced staff at McGee's Chemist Letterkenny. From coughs and colds to aches and pains, from vitamin supplements to first aid essentials. McGee's have what you need when you need it, with a full prescription service available daily. McGee's Chemist, Main Street, Letterkenny. For healthcare help and advice you can always trust.
Don't know why she's leaving.
Joe Gallagher Entertainment presents Chris Norman, the original voice of Smokey, returns to Donegal on the 30th of October to the Mount Erigal Hotel, Letterkenny. Tickets on sale from the Mount Erigal Hotel reception, Joe Gallagher Entertainment office and Ticketmaster.ie.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who has the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
Quilcha cares for Ireland's forests sustainably. As our country seeks to combat climate change, we'll do more. Our ambition is to create new forests, manage our existing forests for greater carbon capture, and provide more habitats to enhance biodiversity. We'll support creating new homes by delivering sustainable Irish wood products. And we'll increase the number of beautiful forest recreation spaces for everyone to enjoy. Quilcha, forests for climate, nature, wood and people. For a greener future for all.
All right, so we learnt over the weekend that the Republic of Ireland have been pitted against co-hosts Australia, Canada and Nigeria in Group B at the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. We're joined by Irish international footballer and Donegal's own Amber Barrett. Good morning to you, Amber. Thanks so much for joining us. Great to have you on the programme.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Is it fully sunk in that we're talking about who you're going to be playing in this tournament next summer? I presume it has it? But still, I mean, it was such a remarkable journey to the finals.
Yeah, I think now that we know, we're in the draw's been made, we know who the opening game is, we know who the opposition are for the group stage. I think, collectively we talked about it over the weekend. I think this is the first time it's actually began to feel a little bit real and the excitement has already started.
So, I mean, opening up against the co-hosts Australia, then it's the Olympic champions Canada, and finish it off with the highest-ranked African team in Nigeria. But I suppose you wouldn't want it too easy either. I mean, that's what you qualify for these tournaments for, isn't it? To go in against the best in big games.
Yeah, I think when, initially when the draw was being made, looking at the first, especially pot 1 and pot 2, like the caliber of teams in both were top. So I don't think any group has got an easy run of it. And to be honest with you, I don't think any of us really cared. I think the fact that we have our foot in the door, we were in the draw, we were in the group stage. I think that's, after that there, we don't really care about the rest.
You have a win over Ireland in a friendly in Dublin. Friendly, completely different. Of course, this is a competitive match. It's the World Cup, and you're going to have a very passionate Australian team. And I'm sure there's plenty of Irish over in Australia who will be scrambling to get tickets as well. But this is a different experience altogether, isn't it? And we'll have to be prepared for as such.
Yeah, I think so. I think the turnaround that we had coming into that Australia game, I think we were on the back of 7 or 8 defeats, I think, in a row, and probably the lowest we'd been in a long time in terms of such poor results. And I think the Australia game then it kind of instigated the turnaround that we've had over the last year and a half, 2 years. And I think going in now to the World Cup, playing them again, obviously in Australia, you're talking about arguably a 40,000 capacity stadium will be sold out, and I'm just hoping that there'll be half of it will be filled with Irish, because there's plenty of them down there.
Yeah, exactly. They have to get their wallets out and start booking some tickets. I think last time out, it's a defeat to Canada. Never played Nigeria before. But as a professional, does form matter when you're heading into such a big tournament like this? I mean, is it in the back of your head? What went before, I wonder.
Yeah, to be honest with you, sometimes yes, but also I think that we have a long little bit of time between now and the next, until the World Cup actually begins, and we're going to more than likely play a lot of friendlies in between that. Obviously there's no qualification games in between that, so I know with Vera previously, she's always spoke about how important it was to get to play against strong opposition to kind of build that little bit of confidence. And yes, there's a possibility you'll lose the game, but you're competing against the best all the time. And I think, as you said, that's exactly why you want to play in a World Cup. You want to play against the best players in the world.
Yeah, and we are, sometimes we look at the opposition, not just in this scenario, but often, like Ireland are the emerging team. Ireland are the improving team. Ireland are arguably the team with the momentum. So, I hope somewhere in Canada or Nigeria or Australia, they're having a conversation and saying, right, we've got a really tough draw here. There will be, but we're the team with the momentum, you could argue.
Yeah, I think 100%. I definitely know that when we were put into pot 3, I don't think there was any team in the other groups that would have wanted Ireland to go into their group. I think what we've done over the last year and a half with the campaign, I don't think went unnoticed, and I definitely think going in now to the World Cup, as we said before, we've nothing to lose now. We've got in. I'd say nobody would have given us a chance of getting out of the group that we got out of anyway. So as you said, we're going to make it really difficult for every team that we play against, and I definitely think everybody will be keeping an eye on us.
How big is the preparation? You mentioned there's going to be friendlies. That's going to be, because I think us as spectators maybe just don't see friendlies like yous do in terms of preparation, because some teams might have a handy group, right, and they will see that as their preparation to hit top form, come the knockout stages, for example. Ireland, we are going to have really good preparation because we are in a final almost on day one.
Yeah, 100%. I think that every friendly that we've played, there's been something in it that we've taken out, whether it's been, looking at something defensively that we want to improve in, attacking wise, and it's just as well, it gives other players an opportunity. So maybe there's players that haven't played that much over the last campaign. And when we play friendlies, Vera is always very strong about it, that she wants to expose players to that type of high pressure, because she's not just taking 11 players to the World Cup and these girls are going to play every game. Like, it's going to be a squad, and I think everybody needs to be ready for that. And that comes from the first friendly that we played to the last one that we played before the World Cup starts.
Yeah, indeed. And you genuinely fancy our chances of getting through this group? You can see a pathway out of it?
Yeah, I think, again, nobody could give us a chance to come out of Sweden with a point. Nobody would have given us a chance to beat Finland home and away. And I think that's the whole thing. I think when Sky came on board, they had that quote with us, out believe. And I think, we're going into the World Cup, we have our foot on the door, and I don't see why we would be aspiring to do anything except get out of the group. Yes, it'll be very difficult, and chances are definitely against us, but as we've shown before, anything's possible.
Yeah, and I don't know if you want to focus or how much you focus on the gender side of things, but it's an amazing time for women's sport at the moment. We've seen the amazing success of our boxers over the last wee while. Katie Taylor's back out again in the next week or two to defend her undefeated titles, not undefeated, her unified titles. And then, we have this to look forward to. And we're watching a bit of the European soccer and also the English women's higher leagues. There's a real momentum there. It's not talking about something where it has to come from. It's there now, isn't it? It's amazing.
Yeah, and I think that comes down to the exposure that it's got over the last few years. I think you look at the English league. They've went on Sky Sports, they've went on BT, they've went on BBC. They have the FA Player now, where every game is available to watch. Then the crowd attendance go up, and then I think the best thing for it was the Euros. I think the Euro campaign in England in the summer was a huge success. Unfortunately, it was the English that did come out on top, but the fact that we were able to sit at home in the evening and have so many games of football exposed to us was brilliant. And it wasn't just people who had an interest in women's football; it was everybody. Was checking in to see it because it was there and it was available. And I think as soon as you see it, it carries through, and the momentum carries through with it. And as you said, I think for women's sport in general, not just soccer, it's just going to keep getting better and better. Yeah,
and there's a few stubborn, high-profile commentators, not in football, but I'm thinking about boxing. It's a standalone sport now. It does not need to be put in the context of the male versions of the games any longer. Even though some still try to, it doesn't have to anymore. It's these are, and I think particularly the European Championship showed that it doesn't need comparison.
No, I don't think so. And I think that was always that was the difference between it. They were comparing in England, they were comparing the women's league there to the Premier League, and yet nobody realizes that for 50 years women's football was banned in the UK. And it's like, how can you compare something that was for 50 years? There was nothing being done about it. There was no progress being made. And I think that's, it's a little bit of naivety from so many people. And I think, as you said, it's definitely a small number of people who are trying to, still put us in the same bracket. But, the ones involved with it and the people who have followed it realize that, we are standing on our own 2 feet at the minute.
Exactly. The people that know it know that. Finally, too, I often wondered, and we see, with the Men's World Cup upcoming shortly, some high profile players missing out, picking up injuries, and you feel for them in club games and what have you. Is that on your mind, Amber, when you're playing? I mean, you're building up to this. You've worked so hard to get to it. You and the squad, and then you have league games and what have you to take part in. That the worst case scenario would be a nightmare. You can't think about that though, can you? Would be an injury, sorry. So. I think I said injury, but anyway, that'd be the worst nightmare. You can't think about it, can you?
No, I don't think so, because regardless if there was a World Cup or not, injuries can happen at any time. They can, unfortunately, it's part and parcel of the sport. Of course, you want to keep yourself as fit as possible, but as you said, you've seen the top players in the world with the best medical care available still pick up injuries. So I don't think they're always avoidable, but you just have to hope that something's a wee bit of luck's on your side. Yeah, fingers crossed. Now, July seems like a lifetime away, but we'll blink and we'll be just in the mouth of the World Cup. It's so exciting. Thanks so much for joining us this morning and giving your reaction to that draw. It's really appreciated, Amber. No bother, Greg. Take care of yourself. Thanks very much indeed. Amber Barrett there, Irish international, Donegal footballer, of course. A footballer from Donegal, a soccer player. And her reaction to that World Cup draw. It is Australia on July 20th. Australia are co-hosts to New Zealand. We have a win over them, but of course it's a completely different scenario. Canada, I think last time out we went down 2-1. They're Olympic champions and they would be seen as the best team in that group, I'm sure. And then Nigeria, they're the highest ranked African team. All games are going to be brilliant, aren't they? And we just hope they get enough to get through to the knockout stages. Wouldn't it be a great way to spend the summer? Staying up in the middle of the night. But you wouldn't mind that. All right, let us take a break, okay? We'll be back with more after these messages.
Live free in 23 with Dunloe GAA Club. €500 cash paid weekly, a luxury holiday, hotel stays and more. Winner takes all. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Want unbeatable value from Sky? Here's the deal. Get Sky Broadband Plus, our award-winning Sky Q box for the amazing low price of just €39 a month. Super fast, super reliable broadband. And Sky Q with your apps and recordings. That's Sky Broadband Plus Sky Q for just €39 a month for 12 months. Now that is unbeatable value. Go to sky.ie. Availability subject to location. Offer does not include Sky TV subscription. New Sky customers only. Setup fees, minimum term and further terms apply. For more info, see sky.ie/speeds.
Businesses, for your 2023 calendar, order now from BizPrint in Letterkenny. Promote your business 365 days of the year with a personalised calendar designed to suit from BizPrint the Printers, Port Road, Letterkenny. See bizprint.ie.
At iMotors, we've reduced the pricing of all of our pre-owned vehicles. With unbeatable value, we won't be beaten on price. We guarantee we have the car for you. From a starter car to SUV, ranging from Kia, Nissan, Jag, BMW or Opel, we have it all. Visit us in Letterkenny or Malin, or check out our website, imotors.ie.
Massive stock clearance promotion now on at Hegarty's Home Interiors, Buncrana. See the best selection of sofas, beds and sliding robes, all at unbeatable prices with free delivery included. Our best sale items include 4'6" bed set, mattress base and headboard was €499, now €379 for the lot. Get an extra €100 off any recliner suite, electric or manual. See the best selection and the best priced sliding robes in Ireland, with lots more offers throughout the store. Hegarty's Home Interiors, Buncrana. Great furniture, always better prices.
So you're saying mental health difficulties can be smaller things?
Yeah.
Like trouble sleeping?
Yeah.
Or if I'm always stressed, like?
Yeah.
Or often anxious?
They're all part of your mental health.
Thought those were separate.
Nope. They're all connected.
Hey, how do you know all this anyway?
Sure, I've been there myself.
Anxiety, ongoing stress, low mood or trouble sleeping, they're all part of your mental health. Make the connection and find support that can help at yourmentalhealth.ie from the HSE.
Right, okay, let's take a piece of music. Here's the Cranberries. Okay, that is the Cranberries there and Zombie. Right, okay, you would have heard already so far today that the programme this week is coming to you in association with Dunlow GEA Club because they are running a fantastic draw. And to tell us more about it, Paddy McGowan, Club Secretary of Dunlow GEA Club, joins us in studio now. Good morning to you, Paddy.
Morning, Greg. How are you?
This is a big one, isn't it?
It's a big one. It's a big one for us, yeah.
Okay, so it's Live Free in 2023. Part of the prize is €500 per week in the year 2023. A luxury 5-night holiday in Dubai. 1 night dining, escape to the Galgorm Resort and Spa. 1 night stay in Ashford Castle. Tickets and accommodation. I hope you've booked the accommodation to the All-Ireland football final. And tickets and accommodation to the All-Ireland hurling final. That has you pretty much sorted for 2023. What a prize, isn't it? What
a prize, you know. A lot of thought and effort went into creating this, something unique, you know, and I think it is unique. You know, a lucky winner will just have a free year in 2023.
The draw takes place on December 30th, 2022, so people need to get their tickets as soon as they can. And the price pretty reasonably too, €20 per ticket, or you can get 3 for 50.
Yes, and you can also get 7 for 100 if you're feeling really lucky, like, you know.
No, yeah, brilliant. And come here, what's the fundraising drive for? Because it's like everything too. It costs an awful lot of money to run a club now, to develop a club. And we know the role a club like Dunlow GA Club. It's not just the senior team; it's all the other teams. It's the underage stuff. It's the community stuff. It takes a lot of effort and money.
Yes, Greg. Hey, like in recent years, like clubs have nearly become like a business to run. Like in Dunlow, just like we've integrated ladies football, hurling, camogie there of late. You know, we have 36 groups competing competitively. You know, so that just doesn't happen. It takes a lot of effort and money to keep these going. So at the moment we're just operating off one pitch, so hence this draw is we've recently just commenced the development of a second pitch, which is most badly needed in the area. And listen, phase 1 has been completed. This draw is going to help us, you know, get the goal posts up, get the lights up, get the fence around the pitch, you know, to make it
do it right,
like, you know. So we've been fortunate. We've had some grant aid from Run the Gaelta Sports Capital, but unfortunately that doesn't just get you the finished article. So we had a recent draw there in just before COVID, uphill battle, which took in a substantial amount of money. But we paraded through the north of Ireland selling tickets door to door. It was a hard drive, slog, you know. But listen, Live Free in 23. It's an online draw, and we're hoping that it's going to get us across the line.
Yeah, and there's 2 elements to this as well, because, you know, if people have the spare cash, living in the local area, the Rosses, for example, they're investing in their own community as well. You know, which it makes it a little bit easier to part with the cash, even with the fantastic prize. But, you know, you're going to have people all over the place looking to have a go at this. People love the online competitions.
Yeah, the online is just something that's maybe has come up with since COVID started. Everybody was running competitions, and listen, we've been fortunate. We've been able to tap into local people, the likes of Leanne Green, Keelan Ward, Jason McBride. I'm just going to name them here to thank them for their input. Paul McGee, Mark Curran, Maeve McGee, Damien McHugh. Like, this group came together mid-September, and we've pulled this together really, really fast. And they have the expertise for marketing and online, and listen, it's greatly appreciated for their input into the club, like, you know.
They're the skill, you're the pretty face, is that it?
I wouldn't say that. It's just maybe.
And I tell you, another thing people can do as well to do their bit is share the links and share the information, because, you know, we've got people from Dunlow and Donegal in Ireland all around the world as well. So share it out on your social media too.
Absolutely. Sponsored ads. Hey, they see them, just please tag, share, whatever they can do to get it around the world. You know, and it is working. It's going fairly well for us at the moment, and you know, but it's going to you're going to have to keep pushing week on week here with this, like, you know.
And I suppose the same old applies here. It's people can struggle to buy Christmas presents for certain people. It's hard to know what to get certain people, isn't it? You can buy tickets. They'd make it great. With this being a post-Christmas draw, you know, you have that Christmas present market open there.
Absolutely, Greg. And like, just one thing that is going to come up in the next couple of weeks is the little gift card with the ticket in it for people to give that which would be a fantastic Christmas present for anybody to get, being with a chance to win, as I say, such a unique prize. So if they just keep an eye on our website for that is coming along shortly.
And it's kind of go big or go home. It's winner takes all, isn't it?
It is. It's winner take all. People are just kind of standing with their mouths open basically when they hear what the prize is. They were thinking this is first, second, third. No, it's winner takes the lot here.
Yeah. So just to remind you, it's €500 per week, every week in the year 2023. A 5-night holiday in Dubai, which is an amazing place to go. And it allows people maybe that couldn't ordinarily sort of dream of this stuff to have the dream of it. 1 night dining escape to Galgorm Resort and Spa, 1 night stay in Ashford Castle, and then tickets and accommodation to both the All-Ireland football final and the All-Ireland hurl final. That'll be a nice 2023 to look forward to.
2023
What's
is
your
right.
pick there if you had to choose one of those? Paddy, not wishing to put you on the spot. You look like you could do with 5 nights in Dubai.
I could do with 5 nights in Dubai, or the All-Ireland final would do me as well. I would be happy with that, Okay.
But, right, so Live for Free in 23.ie is the URL. That's it's predominantly online. There's people out there that maybe don't want to do the online thing. Are tickets available from the club?
Locally, some of the club members have tickets there now, and Robert and Siobhan, the local post office, very good, help us with our local week-to-week 50-50. They're available there for anybody that's not comfortable going online and purchasing, so you can pop into Robert there and he'll sort you out,
And in terms of fundraising in the past, it's not unusual clubs going around the bars doing the bingo, or not doing the bingo, but doing the lotto or rattling buckets here, there and everywhere. And it's all for the one thing. It's about developing the facilities. This is just a different way of doing it. Basically, it is the same. It's trying to raise money from the public who see the benefit in something like this, but having that prize there as an incentive to support. So in the first instance, you are supporting the club, you're supporting its development, but you're in line for a great prize here.
Sure, Greg. And it's like every club in this country, they want to have the best facilities for their young people, and Dunlow is no different.
Yeah.
We've a fantastic clubhouse there, which was built in recent years. We have one pitch there. Everybody will tell you it's a hill they're playing on and stuff like that there. So listen, there's a young, vibrant group in the club now that wants to see this develop, and there's a strong push coming, and we are going to develop this and have this for our people of Dunlow community.
Yeah, it's exciting. And is this new pitch that's under development, that's going to be the main pitch then, is it?
Our hope is we don't have floodlights at the minute. We use the local Ross's Community School. We're here, there and everywhere using grounds with lights. We have teams like our senior men are going into an Ulster campaign. We have a minor girls team going into an Ulster campaign after
the times
running.
Now for your own proper floodlit pitch.
We need our own thing there, and listen, we're going to have that in the next year or two anyway.
Super stuff. So you've been lucky to get some funding, but there's always a fundraising element to it, and that's just where we're at right now.
Sure.
Is you just going to sell tickets? Is there a cap on how many tickets there?
Yeah, well, we've capped it at 12,995 tickets. A little ambitious, perhaps, but I think with the prizes in it again, as you say, Greg, rightly so, around the world, this is going to be seen, and we were hoping that people will pick up a ticket,
Right, so if you think on there, if there's anything else you want to mention, I'll just run through for people again, if you want to get involved in this and support really primarily the Dunlow GEA Club. You go to the website Live for Free, Live Free in 23, I beg your pardon, Live Free in 23.ie, and the 23 is the numbers 23. Live Free in 23.ie. You could win €500 per week in the year 2023, plus a luxury 5-night holiday in Dubai, 1 night dining escape to Galgorm Resort and Spa, 1 night stay in Ashford Castle, tickets and accommodation to both the All-Ireland football final and the All-Ireland hurling final, and your tickets are €20. You can get 3 for 50, or how many did you say?
7 for 100.
7 for 100. Okay, so if you're a lazy gift buyer, dare I say, this is an impactful gift, and it's handy.
And Greg, it would be wrong for me not to come on here today and mention our development committee, who is the brains behind this, and it's Paul McGee, Danny Carr, Emma McCann, John Jared Boner, and Adrian Alcorn. These guys do tremendous work, voluntary, of course. So project this just doesn't happen by throwing out a draw. There's people behind the scenes as well there, and I think it's be wrong for me not to mention them today.
100%, because we've all good ideas, don't we,
Sure.
Paddy? It's easy to have an idea, but then when you start trying to put it in place, and the speed with which you have done this as well is really quite remarkable, and it's a testimony to all those people you've mentioned so far, and lots of other people as well, because, as I say, ideas are cheap, but making them happen, that's where the graft comes into it, isn't it?
That's it. And listen, as a club committee, we have to try and support and facilitate these ambitions, things that we have going forward. So again, they're the guys with the brains. We must do the groundwork behind them and support it. And
Yeah, great stuff. Well, listen, Paddy, anything else you want to add? I think we've
no,
covered
just one
everything
other
there.
thing. And I have mentioned our football, our girls, and our hurling, and our camogie, but we're also very, very good at score there, and we have our score team going to the All Irelands in Castlebar on the 12th of November. So we would like to just wish Eugene and his squad there all the very, very best in that, Greg.
All right, well done, Paddy. Obviously, people listening throughout the course of this week will get even more information. But if you want to find out, once again, how you get involved, how you order your tickets, how you book your tickets, livefreein23.ie, and you win it all. The €500 per week every week for 2023, the trip to Dubai, the trips away in Galgorm Resort, Ashford Castle, and tickets and accommodation to both the All Ireland football and hurling finals. Why wouldn't you buy a ticket if you can? Listen, thanks very much for that, Paddy. I appreciate it very much indeed. That's Paddy McGowan, the club secretary of Dunlow GEA Club.
Live free in 2023 with Dunlow GEA Club. €500 cash weekly, a holiday to Dubai, All Ireland final tickets and more. Winner takes all. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Start playing NCBI Radio Bingo today. 3 chances a day, 5 days a week to win daily prizes of €400 plus. Not to mention a weekly jackpot of €5,000 upwards. Books available at your local retailer for just €5 each. It couldn't be simpler. Real money, real people.
Nutria's winter beef feed offer, directly supported by the Arrivo Fodder Support Fund, is now available at your local Homeland store. Buy 10 bags of Nutria's Super Beef Gold ATP or Nutria's Max Maize Mix, get one free. The Nutria's Beef ATP pack enhances animal performance through maximising rumen efficiency. T's and C's apply. Contact your local Homeland or farm commercial specialist today. Visit nutrias.ie for full product details.
The hilarious It's the Real McCoy by Tommy Marn on Grain On Theatre, Letterkenny, Friday, October 28th and Saturday 29th.
Do I look like Daddy? What's in the dog always comes out in the pup.
It's the Real McCoy, Letterkenny, October 28th and 29th. See on grainon.com. Book now.
There's bingo every Monday night at Halfway House Bingo Burnfoot. Doors open 7:30 with eyes down at 8:30 sharp. €2,500 must go. The snowball is now €1,200 on 45 numbers or less. If you're not in, you can't win. That's Halfway House Bingo tonight at 8:30.
Tourism businesses have a brand new mark of employer excellence, driven by the employee's voice. The Employer Excellence Programme recognises employers who consistently create better workplaces for their employees. Attract and retain top talent. Shine the spotlight on your business. The Employer Excellence Programme. Learn more at falterireland.ie.
The Letterkenny Halloween Fest is on this Saturday the 29th with spooktacular fun for all the family. Dress up for the CDP's Fancy Dress competition and get on the trick-or-treat trail between 1 and 3. There's storytelling, a Halloween Fest parade down Main Street and so much more all afternoon from 12:30. This Saturday at the Letterkenny Halloween Fest. You dare not miss it. For more info, see Shop LK on Facebook.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.eu.
Okay, the weather forecast for today reads as follows. Any residual mist and low cloud has cleared at this point, leaving sunny spells and scattered showers, some turning heavy at times. Temperatures 12 to 14 degrees in moderate west to southwest winds. Nolene Blackwell is of the Dublin Rape Crisis Centre and joins us on the programme now. Nolene, thanks for your time today. I appreciate it.
Pleasure, Greg. Thank you for asking me.
We've spoken to a number of people directly affected by drink spiking, or at least they believe they have been. And drink spiking reports are on the increase, is that correct?
yes, the reports going to the Gardaí are increasing. And of course, you never know, is that because more people recognise that it's a good thing to report it and the guards are hearing them, listening to them, or is it that drink spiking is on the increase? It's been around for a long time, but I think maybe people didn't feel that the guards would believe them if they said it, and maybe the guards were not as good at taking reports, and they're getting better now.
Yeah, just to be clear about the terminology too, Nolene, for listeners, drink spiking, people might think it's someone dropping a tablet into a drink or it's someone injecting a substance into a drink, but actually, you know, getting someone a triple when they asked for a single, that is also effectively drink spiking.
Absolutely, and Greg, that is the most common form that we hear about of drink spiking. It's somebody surreptitiously putting more drink into someone's drink than they wanted, or putting alcohol into a soft drink, and it can be absolutely lethal when you don't know what medication a person is on, when you don't know what they've had already, and when you don't know what the impact of the triple instead of the single will be on somebody. It is effectively trying to poison someone with alcohol, trying to harm them or alter their mental state in some way. So it's really, really harmful. And as you say, it's people thinking that's funny in some way or a prank, when it is actually a really harmful activity and shouldn't be tolerated under any circumstances.
Do you think it's a difficult one, though, for the Gardaí to get a handle on? Because I know, obviously, because we spoke to them, a number of reports were made here. Subsequent inquiry, and I'm not sure if it's changed, found that these reports hadn't been recorded on Pulse. So in other words, whilst this information, does it feel anecdotal when really we should be able to speak more clearly about actual cases?
I think maybe there is a little bit of a change in attitude just generally, that people did not feel they would be believed at all if they went to the Gardaí before. And I think the Garda attitude is to recognise that they'll never get a handle on whatever problem is there unless they get enough reports. The trouble with putting extra drink or a tablet or whatever into drink, or whatever way you're spiking, if it does alter somebody's state, very often they can't report in real time. And you know, by the time they do get to report, a drug may have washed through a system, or it just may be too late to do anything about it. So one of the things that I think the guards are recognising is they need to know, for instance, is there a particular nightclub, a particular bar where this is being reported again and again, because maybe they can do something about it. We would also say, and colleagues who work, there's a website up there called the Spiking Hub, where people can just anonymously report their experience. We're saying as well to people, if you can report it to a venue, if the venue can understand that there is some bad behaviour going on there, they can also keep an eye out for where they might see it happening.
Yeah.
So unless it is reported in some way, unless people who can do something about it know about it, we'll never establish the trends. You may not be able to pick up the person who actually carries out the action, but we might be able to make it impossible for them to do it without being noticed and without people drawing attention to it and without people minding the person, because there must be a lot of people who see somebody else engaging in that activity, hear them ordering the triple instead of the single that somebody asked for, and they don't keep the person safe.
Yeah,
call it out, but also say to whoever is to get the drink, don't take it. That's not what you asked for. So, you know, we can do a whole lot more short of prosecution, but I think letting the guards know so that they can maybe track it better than they were doing before. And I think they would say themselves, they didn't maybe take it as seriously as they want to take it now. Now, that won't be perfect across the guards, nothing ever is, but there is that recognition there that they will not get a handle on what is a criminal offence a lot of the time unless people will tell them about it.
Nolene Blackwell, as always, thanks for your time this morning. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Greg.
All right, take care. Nolene of the Dublin Rape Crisis Centre. Our Monday focus coming up in the next hour, by the way, is going to be that thorny issue of smart meters. Smart meters are being rolled out. You can resist at the moment, I believe. But is there an inevitability if that's the direction we're going? Have you any questions about smart meters? I have them myself. I don't have smart meters myself, not that I'm aware, but I have questions. But maybe you have specific questions. Get them into us right now. 08660 25,000. I told you I would try and get someone on to talk about this issue. We've achieved that. And it's just to maybe... So it's one of those issues that people are chatting to in bars. Are you getting a smart meter? Oh, no, I'm not doing it because of such and such. And I heard it's going to be that and the other. So, obviously a lot of speculation comes in the absence of information. So we're going to try and maybe plug some of those holes. The answers might not suit everyone, but we'll see. All right, so stay tuned for that.
Watch the show live now on YouTube, Facebook, and at highlandradio.com.
OK, it's just turned 11 o'clock. Let's get a news update and say good morning to Donald Kavanagh.
Thank you, Greg. Good morning. The British Minister of State for Northern Ireland is urging the DUP to allow the Stormont executive be formed this week. Politicians from across the UK and Ireland are meeting in Cavan this morning at the British Irish Assembly. It's likely fresh elections will be called in the north by the end of this week if the DUP doesn't agree to attend the executive. Northern Ireland Minister Steve Baker is appealing for a deal to be done. Meanwhile, his party colleague Rishi Sunak is expected to be confirmed as the new UK Prime Minister later today. Boris Johnson withdrew from the Tory leadership race last night, leaving only Rishi Sunak and Penny Mordaunt. Sunak will be confirmed as leader if he's the only candidate with 100 supporters from Tory TDs by this afternoon's deadline. It's suggested he has well above the requisite 100. Penny Mordaunt is well below it. The old courthouse in Letterkenny has the potential to be a major focus for tourism in Donegal, according to a local councillor. At present, the office is just off the Polestar roundabout. It's closed to the public for much of the time. Councillor Kieran Brogan says the council should meet with Fáilte Ireland to discuss the future provision of tourism facilities and opportunities. He told the 9 till noon show this morning that one option is for Fáilte Ireland to relocate to the old courthouse, with the council possibly using the Polestar office for another purpose. A report published today shows a 30% increase in the number of patients attending the Donegal Sexual Assault Treatment Unit. In 2021, 101 patients attended the unit. The previous year, the number was 70. Donegal County Council is being asked to carry out inspections on all drain gullies in Letterkenny and to ensure they're flushed and cleaned out as quickly as possible. The call is to be made at a meeting of Letterkenny Milford Municipal District by Councillor Mayor Donald Mandy Kelly, who says recent flooding in Glenswilly has shown what can happen if gullies and drains aren't continually monitored and cleaned. He says the Glenswilly work on a new pipe should be finished by either this evening or tomorrow. But he says in the meantime, if a comprehensive study doesn't happen, then future Glenswillys may crop up elsewhere. And Derry City and Strabane District Council expect over 100,000 people to attend the 4-day Halloween festival that runs from Friday to Monday next. The Awakening the Walled City Trail will run both sides of the foil from Friday to Sunday. Halloween night itself will see the Carnival Parade at 7 and the Halloween fireworks at 8. The council has issued a comprehensive list of full and partial road closures, accessibility arrangements and car parking provision. All those details now on our website, highlandradio.com. We're back with headlines again at 12 noon.
Thanks very much, Donald. Right, people asking, I asked the question, but just to answer it for you again. Can I buy tickets for the Live for Free and 23 draw? Can I buy them anywhere else other than online? Yes, club members have them locally. And they're also in the local post office, so yes, you can. Okay, further call out if you have any questions about smart meters. Get them into us. I have a feeling a lot of it's going to be, well, soon you'll be able to do this. In a while you'll be able to do that. We hope to be able to achieve that. But anyway, let's get the questions out. Let's get them asked. Let's get them answered as much as we can. What questions do you have about smart metering in your home? For those not aware, the smart meter is replaces your analog meter. But there are concerns. People feel that it's easy to switch off or to control or whatever it might be. Some people feel it's going to be more expensive. I went through some of the rates of electricity charge, the ones other than you using the electricity at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. The rates for daytime rates seem to be higher for those not using a smart meter. So I don't know if it's about saving money. Do you remember we were kind of led to believe, I never bought into it, but we were led to believe that switch to electric cars, it's cheaper, it'll save you money. Well, really, it's about the environment. A a lot of people would find that there's not a huge saving, or the motivation shouldn't be about a saving. Is it going to be the same with the smart meters? Will we sold them as a, save money, get control, but is that the reality? Maybe it just suits the companies better. I don't know. We'll try and get to the bottom of all of that, but you can help me with your questions to 086 60 25,000 or by calling 07491 25,000 if you prefer.
Live free in 2023 with Dunloe GAA Club. Winner takes all. Prize includes €500 cash paid every week next year. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Are you frequently asking others to speak slowly, clearly and loudly? Is listening to the TV or radio becoming harder? If your hearing is affecting your everyday life, Connect Hearing are here to help. Our clinics in Letterkenny and Dunloe are open Monday to Friday, where you can avail of our hearing test, wax removal and repair services. Take that first step to better hearing. Call us today on 07491 13296. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
It's flu season, and children are twice as likely as adults to catch the flu, which can sometimes cause serious illness. That's why all children aged 2 to 17 can get their free nasal spray flu vaccine, a safe and effective way to protect them, and the rest of your family too. So make an appointment with your GP or pharmacist. Visit hsc.ie/flu for more information. From the HSC.
Hegarty's Auto Body Repairs in Letterkenny have been keeping cars on the road across the northwest for the past 50 years. Hegarty's are the only Ford-approved body shop in the northwest, but repair all makes and models. Paintless dent removal, windscreen replacement and restoration work. Hegarty's even mix their own paint. Approved by most insurance companies and certified Steel Standards Ireland. That's Hegarty's Auto Body, Letterkenny. For all vehicle repairs. See hegartys.com.
A public interest message from Donegal County Council. Donegal County Council would like to remind farmers in the county of the following key messages as autumn and winter approaches. Land spreading of slurry to be completed by the 15th of October. Farmyard manure cannot be applied to land after the 1st of November. Check and repair gutters and downpipes to minimise soiled water in yards. Ensure that any effluent or soiled water generated is directed to appropriate storage tanks. There should be no direct runoff of soiled water from farm roadways to waters. Play your part in keeping Donegal clean and green.
Hi, did you know that your Irish Life pension could help the planet? By investing less in companies that harm the environment and more in those trying to help it, while always aiming to give you the strongest possible return.
See irishlife.ie for pension funds that have a responsible approach, or speak to your financial broker or advisor. Irish Life Assurance plc is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
I'm Lorraine Keane, and I hate feeling tired and hormonal. Yet that's exactly how I felt when my perimenopause started in my late 30s. For nutritional support, I chose Irish supplement Clean Marine Menamin. Why? Because Menamin contains omega-3, vitamin D, and also vitamin B6, which contributes to the regulation of hormonal activity and helps reduce tiredness. All in just 2 capsules a day. Ask for Menamin at health stores and pharmacies, or learn more at cleanmarine.ie. I'm glad I did.
A caller asks, has the Irish homeless crisis ever been addressed? There are so many on the streets, we need to find a solution. It's hard not to wonder why we can't step up for ourselves when we can do it for others. The notion being that City West is not the solution to the Irish homelessness problem. A hotel in Letterkenny or in Inishowen or wherever it might be is not the solution to the homelessness problem, the Irish homelessness problem. That requires building new units of housing, councils taking over vacant property where appropriate and making, long-term accommodation available for homeless people. Homelessness also sometimes means there needs to be a range of supports. It's not always just a case of saying, there is a house, go and live in it. Sometimes there's multiple reasons why people are homeless, and they also need to be supported and addressed. The government will argue they are trying to do that. The homelessness problem is worsening. And staying with homelessness or no homes for refugees, apparently, all the papers covering, and I mentioned this, that the refugee plan is in disarray. The Irish Daily Mail this morning says There is growing concern in government circles over the failed strategy to house Ukrainian refugees fleeing the Russian invasion of their country. The fears were revealed after it emerged that 43 Ukrainian refugees have been left without accommodation here since Friday. Now, as it relates to Donegal's contribution to this, and I have this information from a number of sources, but looking for clarification on it, is that the national view of Donegal might be that effectively, in terms of accommodating refugees, Donegal's full. As I say, I'm trying to get a spokesperson to confirm that this is the sense. There is some concern at the national level. Again, I have this from a number of various sources, that there's already an awful lot of pressure on the health system through GPs, hospitals, with schools and what have you in Donegal, and that the view being that, and Donegal, I think, has taken the second highest number in certain categories of refugees. I believe the attitude, the national attitude from the centre that sort of organises where refugees go, is that Donegal effectively is full. It's at capacity in terms of what services can support here. As I say, I have that from a number of sources, and we will... it's hard to get someone to confirm this stuff on the record, so we're working to do that. But that is, as far as I'm aware, that is the working hypothesis from those centrally. This is nothing to do with the council. Those centrally that determine these things. Right, okay. Owen Reid is the General Secretary of the Irish Congress of Trade Unions. He's a Donegal man, and we want to wish him congratulations. Good morning to you. Thanks for joining us. And as I say, Owen, congratulations.
Good morning, Greg. Thanks a lot. Good morning, Greg. Thanks a lot. Thanks very much.
Yeah, it's not an easy role to achieve this, is there? I mean, obviously you have to have done the work on the ground, and you have to sort of, be popular. You have to be seen to be, a doer. You've achieved all of that because you have climbed this pole.
Well, I've been active. I'm very lucky to be active in the full-time trade union movement, Greg, for about 24 years now. Started off in Mayo in SIPTU. I worked with SIPTU for 18 years and started off in Mayo, and then came back to Dublin and worked in a number of different capacities, and achieved a few promotions, and was in the SIPTU management team for the last number of years when I worked there, involved in some kind of high-profile disputes, the Lewis, Dublin Bus, Irish Rail, things like that. And then I joined the Congress of Trade Unions, which is the All-Ireland Federation, which is the kind of the body that tries to speak with one voice for the 44 unions we represent on the island. I joined the Congress in 2016, working out of Belfast, responsible for Northern Ireland. And then when Patricia King, my colleague, stepped down last month or two, the position was advertised, and I applied, and I was successful. So I'm delighted, but there's a big job of work ahead, and it's good to be part of a collective team, because it's very much a team. I mean, there's no I in the trade union movement; it's all about the we.
Yeah, and what do you see as your priorities during your term? I mean, I think union membership has been proven to improve people's well-being. We've seen that recently with pay agreements in government jobs, effectively. Let's put it like that there. But I suppose in the private sector as well, you would like to see more areas of employment involved in unionism, or just more members generally?
Well, there's a number of things, Greg. I think if we've learned anything from COVID, and sometimes we go through crises and we don't kind of reflect and learn the lessons, and we move on to the next crisis. But if we've learned anything from COVID, the list of what we consider essential workers pre-COVID to post-COVID is radically different. And for many of those essential workers, and it's a very long list, work does not pay, and they don't earn enough, they don't get respect, they don't have dignity in work. So we need to change that. And I think the way to change that is for the trade union movement to recruit those workers and to try and bargain for pay, particularly in the middle of a cost of living crisis. And in Ireland, historically, there's been a number of institutional barriers for workers joining trade unions. There's a couple of things happening at Europe at the moment and nationally, which we hope to be triggers to take away those institutional barriers. So the key priority is to work on those issues in 2023. There's a European Union directive which we want to transpose that will make it easier for workers to be in unions, and wants to improve collective bargaining coverage. That's the number of workers that are covered by an agreement. So that's a key priority. Another key priority is obviously to reach out to young workers. The age profile of workers in the union, the highest group is about 55 to 65. So we need to do something about that. But what we do know from surveys is that young workers, 16 to 34-year-olds, 52% of them that aren't in a union would like to be in a union. So we have to reach out to them, and we have to make sure that next generation have a key role at the bargaining table when it comes to workers' rights and pay.
And are there sort of demographics within that demographic in terms of where young people are most likely to be working? You know, I mean, there are certain career choices that almost those who employ within actively discourage people entering unions.
They do. And I mean, when we talk about young workers, say from the age of 16 to 34, we're talking about young workers from all sorts of backgrounds, people who, third-level graduates who go into professional occupations, other workers who, go into semi-skilled or what are considered elementary skilled jobs, right across the board. What strikes me is they're the demographic we least represent, but they're the demographic that have the highest proportion of people saying we want to be in a union.
But why is that, Owen? Why is that, Owen, though? Sorry. I mean, obviously it's going to be a myriad of reasons, but why do you think younger people, especially when it's right across all different disciplines, why do you think they're so underrepresented in unions then?
Well, there's another piece of work that came out a number of years ago that said the vast majority of people in Ireland would join a union if they felt their employer wasn't going to be hostile. And therein lies the problem, Greg. We're one of the few countries in Western Europe where the right to organise and the right to collective bargaining benefiting from union negotiations is not as clear-cut as it is elsewhere. And one of the things we want to do next year is transpose this directive. It's called the Adequate Minimum Wages Directive. That has an ambition to get collective bargaining coverage, so the portion of workers covered by agreements negotiated by unions, up to 80%. Currently, it's about 42%. So the government, whether it's this government or a future government, are legally obliged to transpose that directive and to follow it. We will make sure they do that. It's our job to be part of that, because we want those workers who want to be in unions to have the opportunity to join them and play their part. I mean, at the end of the day, we want volunteers, not conscripts. And it seems to me, when you look at the data, there are quite a lot of people who would like to be volunteers. So we need employers to respect that right and to allow their employees, when they wish to unionize. And I think that's a fundamental, civil right, human right, and we want to make sure it's vindicated in Ireland.
Also, a living wage, you would see that as one of your focuses as well, that we have a genuine minimum wage that people can live on. But I mean, you would imagine sometimes that those who employ seem to have more influence over the government than maybe they should have.
Oh, well, most certainly they do. And I mean, when you look at the structure of society and the economy, it is weighed heavily in favour of employers. And we need to get that balance right. The only way we're going to get that balance right is by legislation and by further organising and building union power effectively, by having more workers in unions. But again, that European Union directive I'm mentioning also will help when it comes to the living wage, because it recommends higher thresholds and different criteria to look at what a minimum wage should be. The other thing about the minimum wage that's outrageous is these subgroups for younger people.
I really don't understand that. It's really insulting to think that the bills and responsibilities an 18-year-old or even younger, but particularly an 18-year-old, that in some way their life is different from that of a 22-year-old. It's crazy. I never understood how that was ever accepted.
18 and 19-year-olds in the Republic of Ireland get a portion of the minimum wage. And north of the border, where you've got a lot of listeners too, it's much, much worse. If you're under the age of 25 in Northern Ireland and Britain, you don't get the full minimum wage. So, if you're old enough to pay your taxes, if you're old enough to play your part in society, you're old enough to get the full minimum wage. So, there are a lot of things there to be done, Greg. I do think, though, people have a different view of what they want society to be after the COVID pandemic. And I actually think the tide is with trade unions. And I think there's a lot we can do. And I think what we have to say and what we have to offer is something that is more receptive to people now post the pandemic. And we need to build on that. We can't expect people to come to us. We've got to make it viable for people to want to organise. And we really need to reach out to those young workers, because I hear a lot of talk about Generation Z. They want everything. Well, do you know what? They're right to want everything.
It'd be great to see employers, though. Like, you see some of the better employers in this country, and actively hiring at the moment, they treat all workers equally. They pay them a decent wage, and presumably from that they get better productivity, a lower turnover of staff. Maybe the business community need to realise that maybe if they loosen the purse strings a little bit, that it would be in their benefit. No one's looking to put them out of business, but these big, particularly the a lot of the foreign direct investment, they realise that you treat people equally, you pay them a decent wage, and as I say, you get more productivity and a lower turnover of staff.
You are 100% right, Greg, 100%. I mean, we know when we look across the European Union, where you have a higher proportion of people in unions and where unions and employers are negotiating on pay, better outcomes for workers, better productivity for the whole firm, and better outcomes when it comes to the economy and the society. It is a win-win. I mean, there are many decent employers out there that we work with, that we have good relationships with, and we want to make sure that they prosper and do well. I mean, it's not in any union's interest to make a firm unprofitable. But we don't want those bad employers who don't respect their workers' rights to be in a union to have a competitive advantage when it comes to labour costs. So you are right, it is a win-win. And I actually think, the employers' body, IBEC, are starting to realise that. I think many large employers are starting to look at, their social responsibilities. There are many that aren't, and we need to kind of address that and challenge them. But we want to work with the decent employers so that they can do well, so that the workers who are working in those firms also do well. So it's very much about a win-win. But, unfortunately, there are a number of employers who are still, living in the previous century and haven't got with it yet. But, we have a job of work to try and turn their heads to.
All right, congratulations again, Owen. And I'm sure your granddad would be very proud, a dairyman, also involved in the unions.
That's right. He was born in Derry. He was president of the Congress the year I was born. Big influence on my life. I lived in Moville, Greencastle for much of my youth, and he used to come down from Derry. We'd go fishing in Kildare, talk politics, talk trade unions. So I wouldn't have got into this world of work without him and his people.
He started work on you early, didn't he? He was grooming you for this path nice and early. And you thought you were going fishing with your granddad.
Well, I enjoyed going fishing, but we got a lot of politics discussed and debated as well. But his people are all from Moe Island in the west, so no, Donegal is a special place. Always will be for me. That's where I see myself from, and I'm very proud to be from there.
Super stuff. Well done, Owen, again. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you, Greg.
Take care of yourself. Bye-bye. We'll chat again. I'm sure Owen Reedy there, General Secretary of the Irish Congress of Trade Unions at Donegal. Man doing well, of course. So just further to the information that I've been receiving from a number of sources in that people who have been making offers of accommodation in Donegal have been informed by a team responsible for this on a national level. Thank you, but no thank you. Because my understanding, people are being told that the Ukrainian accommodation team are not contacting or not contracting any additional properties in Donegal. And some of the reasons being given include the impact the amount that are already in Donegal is having on resources in the county. Okay, so as I say, that's information we've had from a number of sources, and we will look to get a spokesperson for you on that. But it seems that according to what some people are being told now from official sources is that Donegal, in terms of the Ukrainian response, is full.
Live free in 2023 with Dunloe GAA Club. €500 cash weekly, a holiday to Dubai, All-Ireland final tickets and more. Winner takes all. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Treat your family or friends to a hamper this Christmas from Kelly Centra, Letterkenny. Kelly's have great hampers to suit all budgets, including luxury hampers, available to collect or deliver. Also vouchers for Kelly's award-winning diner or Circle K fuel at the forecourt. Great gift ideas at Kelly Centra, Mountaintop, Letterkenny. Call 91-22026.
House to Home Bridgend, Donegal. Our modest front door opens onto 2 floors of Irish-made furniture, suites, beds, mattresses, dining and occasional furniture. Step into our showroom and see how we can transform your house into a home. House to Home furniture, flooring, slide robes and interiors, Bridgend, Donegal.
Businesses, order your gift vouchers for Christmas now from BizPrint the printers. Also personalised calendars, Christmas cards, diaries, draw tickets and much more at great prices from BizPrint, Port Road, Letterkenny. See bizprint.ie.
Keep your garden in shape all year round with top quality garden equipment from Garden Care at Gallina's Letterkenny Tool Hire. A great selection of leaf blowers, hedge cutters, chainsaws and much more for sale or hire. There's a full backup and repair service, including chains and bars for all makes of chainsaws. Gallina's Letterkenny Tool Hire at Mountain Top Letterkenny, your local Garden Care dealer. Garden Care, your pathway to a beautiful garden.
Did you hear iMotors have an October sale? Well, who better than a Cavan man to tell you about saving money? With all pre-owned cars reduced and a new offer every week, give us a call on 074 91 34567 to find out more.
Energy management is a significant challenge facing industry. To help tourism businesses manage their energy usage and reduce costs, Fáilte Ireland is hosting a series of free, in-person workshops nationwide. Open to tourism and hospitality businesses, the Fáilte Ireland Energy Management Workshop is on Tuesday, November 1st at 6:30 p.m. in the Abbey Hotel, Donegal. Register for free for this event or any of the workshops nationwide at fáilteireland.ie today.
Okay, you're very welcome back to the 9 till noon show here on Highland Radio. Between now and 12, we're going to be hopefully answering your questions on smart meters, their installation, what's the advantages, disadvantages, and so on and so forth. But I am genuinely delighted to welcome back into studio Brendan Devaney, presenter of the DL Debate. A very welcome back to you, Brendan.
Thanks, Greg.
Thank you for joining us. Now, we're going to do the tough bit first, right? And then we're going to talk about a bit of sport. But since I last spoke to you, very sadly, you lost your dad, Patrick, who I know you were incredibly close to, a really important person in your life. And then tragedy on top of that sadness with the passing of your beautiful sister, Margaret Devaney Sullivan. You've been through the mill, and obviously just want to pass on air our condolences to you. But I'm sure, Brendan, you enjoyed the love and support of your family, your friends and your community in this awful time for you.
Yeah, listen, Greg, and I know there's some horrible things have happened in Donegal, and listen, I suppose on behalf of the family, I want to thank everybody out there. You know, the kindness, as you say, was overwhelming, you know, and such a horrible thing to go through. It's still a bit unrealistic, Greg. I can't really fathom it, and you know, as you say, Dad had a battle with cancer, and his death, you know, was coming upon us and was going to be tough. We wanted him, of course, to live on, but you know, he did what he did. He needed to do for us as children. That it just was more for Mum, I suppose. You were thinking about the rest of her time, but Margaret, of course, you know, predictably a young family in that as well, and the light that she was, and everybody said the same things about them everywhere. Everybody you met between the wake and the funeral was the exact same things about the two of them. You know, between Margaret's warmth and her outgoing spirit and what she was, and of course Dad, you know, two words associated with Dad was tough and sound, you know, and it was the same thing, you know, all the stories about the playing days and that as well, and I think everybody from Margaret, particularly I suppose some of her work colleagues, I wouldn't have known, you know, coming down, and yeah. I could just imagine Margaret working down there, and she worked for in the government buildings there, and she would have been great crack to have around an office, you know, that type of person, and everybody come down with the same things to say about her and her friends and that, and of course there's a huge family of us as well, so that's been great support,
yeah.
But it's
because, you know, we think, I mean, obviously loss is personal, and then so there's a point you realise, if you didn't already, which I'm sure you did, that these people that we hold so close to us, people outside our families do as well.
Yeah,
they're their friends and they're their go-to person and they're their rock, and you know, their loss goes beyond our own personal and even the family emotions. Yeah. But that's a testament to how nice and popular they are. So there's some light in that dark as well too, isn't there?
Oh, definitely. It's hard to take on board because of the way the two things happened at the one time. But the outpouring, I suppose, of emotion from everyone there was pretty special, and it did help. I'm always a bit so about wakes myself, and I always, you know, like most people, you dread going to them, and you're glad you went. But you know, it was.
I was the same, and then there was a point. I was sort of didn't like wakes at all. Was not in, and then my mind changed. I realised it's not actually about me, or maybe it's not even necessarily about the person that's passed on. It's an opportunity for other people around you to make sense of it all. Do you know what I mean? I used to have quite a selfish attitude to it, and then I realised that, well, it's really about people getting that chance to pay their respects. And then since then, my attitude has changed somewhat.
Yeah, I suppose there's a terrible uneasiness, I think, that comes with it. But I think that from my standing point, then it's you're so glad of the effort and the times what people do that it takes over everything else. So yeah, it was even how everything happened, and that so many people had input into what happened around it. Greg, everything just seemed to happen when people rally around. I think it's a special thing, particularly here in Ireland, how we do things like that. You know,
you'd wonder how you'd practically get through it, let alone emotionally. But people are around you. I know what you're saying. Well, listen, that's the beauty of our community.
Yes.
Okay, Brendan. Listen, we're going to talk about the DL debate. You've got a great guest on actually today, Anthony Malloy. He's a legend of 1992, of course.
Yep.
He's an interesting character because on the face of it, he's quite quiet and retiring. If you didn't know,
if he's on his way. He's on his way. He's a dude. He's a dude.
But that's not right.
I love the man. You know, he's, you talk about, I suppose, Brian McAnuff is in many ways the daddy of GA in Donegal. I think he's moved to the grandfather stage because Anthony, I think, is in the daddy stage now. You know, and listen, we all, who doesn't have an 82 story, unless of course you were born a bit later than us, Craig. But everybody has an 82 story, and it's so tied on me, Anthony Malloy, I think. And talk about a captain, and he's coming up. He's written Frank Craig has written a book from 30 years on since the famous 92. Just about Anthony's life and the lead up to it and everything that happened. I've had him on the show a few times. He's a great guy, of course, a counsellor down there in their dry area as well. And listen, he does great work, and I think that's suited him. He's a real man of the people. So always good to tie up with him. And listen, he's one of them guys you just love to see. There's just something about him, you know. He's got a great spirit and a great heart, and of course he's got some great stories as well, which I'll look to get out of him.
Yeah, exactly. And I think sometimes that's where the authors have a bit of advantage because they get these guys over a long period of time, and can tease stuff out. But it's going to be a great chat. So you've got both Frank and Anthony on.
Yeah, they're both coming on. Anthony's actually coming to the studio. Brilliant. And yeah, if you asked about getting people, Anthony, it can be kind of hard to get. Frank, I was joking with Frank last week about actually tying him down. He's one of them guys. Has a lot of things on his plate, and he'll get to you soon and whatever. But no, listen, interesting to see his story in terms of how it came to be, because he almost retired. He almost wasn't there in 92, and he had a knee injury and different things. But sometimes in life, Greg, just things fall into place. And for Anthony Malloy, a bit like the Michael Murphy story that was to follow, it just seemed like that was right, that these two guys should lift the SAM for us, you know.
All right, that's going to be a really interesting chat. How are you going to squeeze the rest of it in, albeit important, is another, it's not something I have to worry about. You're going to have to worry about it, because Michael McMullins of Gaelic Life's on with you too, reflecting on the Derry Senior Football Final.
Yeah, I was in there yesterday, Greg. It was not a great game. I know our own county final was poor, and it was a bad day, and defence came back to the fore, unfortunately, Greg, and it was a bad final we had there. And listen, Leaf Connell deserved to win the final, and good luck to them. And yesterday we seen the Glenmen of Mahara coming back and make back-to-back title ones against a very poor Slaughtneil. And Greg, I was just looking at Slaughtneil. They played 15 men inside the 45, and they were just there to be beat. Glen pressured them up the pitch a bit and then tried to win the match. And they won the game without, really Slaughtneil laying a glove on them. And this famous Slaughtneil team.
Yeah, but how do the Slaughtneil players feel today?
I was just looking.
Did they just go, we did our best? Because
they've three of Derry's best players in there, Greg. But they sat and listen, if you're going to play that style, I don't like that.
I know, but I'm just wondering as a player afterwards, you know how sometimes, well, you know what, we gave it all, we did our best. If you're one of those some of the best players in Derry in that Slaughtneil team, and you're bumping into some fellow woman walking up the street, how do you feel?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. Like, if you won, you see playing like that, I think supporters and I could probably stomach it. Maybe some don't care. Maybe they just want to win. I don't think like that. I think you need to go and actually take a team on and go out and outplay them, not out defend them, and that's what Slaughtneil attempted to do. And it was, Shane McGuigan's in there. You have Chrissy McCaig, you have Brendan Rodgers, three of Derry's best players. You didn't hardly see them because the whole team just sat. And the difference was with Glen, when they got up the pitch, they could drop a shoulder and beat a man and put the ball over the bar. And Slaughtneil just were there to be beaten. It was really poor. Listen, I didn't even stay for the whole match.
Did you not? You walked out. You did a Ronaldo on it. You did a Ronaldo on it. You see, you know, I've spoken to you in the past. We have to move on, but a footballer to get to the elite level has to do so much. You have to work so hard, right? And you have a short career. And you've said in the past that you still, to this day, beat yourself up about the defeats, right? That's why I asked that question about you feel. I just wonder if there's a crop of players playing a certain type of football through their glory years, who's going to write their autobiography?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Who's going to reflect on their career are they going to be able to reflect on their career on a positive? Like sometimes I think they need to step out and go, well, maybe we need to start saying we don't really want to play that type of football.
Yeah. Well, if you look at it, Greg, and we're going to have an announcement, I think, tonight on the Donegal management, and you look at what's Donegal's biggest issue, the manager coming on, is their defence. Where are our defenders? If you put 15 in beside your 45, you don't need to be a defender. You just need to be a body in there. You give me 15 fit men, Donegal, Greg, I'll make us hard to beat. I don't care what your talent is, right? Now, if you play like that means that guy, fullback, cornerback, doesn't have to actually be that tight, he's man, because he's got 3 or 4 players around him. So where's Donegal's defenders? They're not there. Now, that must be coming from our club. We're still producing midfielders, we're still producing forwards, we're not producing defenders, and it goes back to this mentality, So I thought I seen green shoots there in the championship. Great teams were leaving 2 or 3 in attack at times. I thought that gives you a platform to kick the ball. We're not kicking the ball, you see. And then, but once it came to the crunch of it, I mean, even Kilcar in their semi-final, St. Eunan's a very talented Kilcar team, went full blanket defence, and I was like, come on lads, you have a talented team, and Eunan's picked them off. The difference between Eve Connell, they are the masters at that, and they sat and they waited and they hit. Of course, Eunan's lost a man, but I don't even think that would have mattered. Eve Connell were really on it, and if you like that type of football, Greg, they are good at it. But
have you met anyone that does?
No, but listen, they still only won by a point, Greg, which shows you sometimes where that game goes. I mean, it was almost a flip from last year's county final, where Eunan's were completely on the top, but because Eunan's went for Eve Connell, they won the game handy. But that game come down to a point. But listen, they have the title and they'll say, right, we're happy enough for that. But as I say, Greg, I'm just talking about Donegal, forgetting about our own club scene here, that the county manager needs defenders. We need defenders, and I don't see them out there.
Okay, and also, last but certainly not least, Maureen O'Donnell's on with you as well.
Yeah, good, Mo. Hey, good to catch up here again. Listen, Donegal ladies, club football, a tough time yesterday, and particularly Termon going down to Lurgan, and three goals in the second half, which was really their undoing. It was 110 to 3-6, a close game, but the goals were their undoing, and very disappointing for Termon, because they had obviously beat Glenfin in the championship, and there was high hopes for them, very talented Termon side. So unlucky to fall at the first hurdle. So Mo's going to wrap up that, and of course the Goodore girls were in action as well. They went on to Saul in their game. It was 1-3 to 1-5 in that. I think the other game might have been called off for waterlogged, the intermediate game. So Mo's going to wrap up the lady stuff for us. Yeah.
All right, that's all on the DL debate this Monday after the 7 o'clock news, podcast on Highland Radio, and it's worth mentioning, important to mention too, brought to you in association with the sponsors, Sister Sarah's and Sarah's Kitchen.
That's it. Kieran Brogan and the crew looking after us as ever.
Do you get food in there? Part of this sponsorship package?
Do I get food? No, I feel it's on me to go down there and pay, and big tips as well, Greg.
No bother to you.
Thanks,
Brendan, great to have you back.
Cheers, Brendan.
It really
Thank
is.
you.
And we'll be back with a preview of the DL Debate podcast next Monday after 11. And don't forget, it's on for you tonight. It's a really interesting one. You've got Anthony Malloy there, along with Frank Craig, talking about Anthony's autobiography. You've got Michael McMullen. You've got Mo O'Donnell, and that's it. It's going to be a goodie. All right, then. We'll be back with more in the 9 till noon show after these.
Live free in 2023 with Dunloe GAA Club. Winner takes all. Prize includes €500 cash paid every week next year. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Go full Lidl and make sure there are no tricks at your house. Only treats with this huge haul of sweeties for just $4.96. Go Happy Bears only 99¢, chocolate lollies just $1.19, Snacktastic Monster Claws $1.49, and good old Henry Hippo jellies just $1.29. Go on, have a Halloween without compromise. Go full Lidl today.
At Hickey, Clark and Langan Insurance Brokers, they compare quotes from all the leading insurers, so you get a great price. Home, motor and van, farm, holiday home, travel and liability insurance, they quote them all. So if the worst happens, you're covered. For a competitive insurance quote today, call Hickey, Clark and Langan on 9126688 or pop into their office at Ballymacool, Letterkenny. Hickey, Clark and Langan General Insurances Limited, trading as Hickey, Clark and Langan, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Has your accountant advised you to make a pension contribution to save tax? As award-winning brokers, John F. Lowery Financial Services can guide you through the process of setting up your first pension or review your existing pension contracts to make sure you are still getting good value for money. At John F. Lowery Financial Services, our business is your financial peace of mind. To arrange a personal consultation with one of our qualified financial advisors, visit jfl.ie or call 9124002. John F. Lowery and Associates Limited, trading as John F. Lowery Financial Services, is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
With the ongoing war in Ukraine affecting the cost of energy, many of us are facing a challenging winter. Through Budget 23, Government is introducing a range of supports to lessen the financial impact on families, households and businesses, and will continue to monitor the situation in the coming months to protect those in difficulty. It's important that everyone stays warm and well, but where safe and possible to do so, reducing energy use can also reduce bills. Changes like turning your thermostat down by 1 degree and considering how often you use energy-intensive appliances like tumble dryers can make a big difference. For information on available supports and energy-saving advice, visit gov.ie/reduce your use. Brought to you by the Government of Ireland.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who has the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'd be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'd be them. 07491 43942.
All right, now we are, as we promised, going to talk about smart meters. Carmel O'Connor is Smart Meter Project Manager and joins us on the programme now. Thank you very much for your time today. How are you keeping, Carmel?
Good, all good.
Excellent. Right, so tell us what's happening at the moment. Smart meters are being rolled out, are they, right across the country? At the moment, people can choose whether or not to have them. Is that the case? I'm not sure how long that might be the case, but tell us what the situation is.
Yeah, as of last week, we actually hit 1 million smart meters were installed, so it's been a major milestone for the project. It started back in September 2019. But it kind of started with an idea back in 2010 around kind of moving all of the older electromechanical relay meters and the older kind of digital type meters to a new smart meter. Now that the technology is there, where we can communicate remotely with the meters and bring back metering information. So whether it's just your normal kind of monthly, bi-monthly meter readings, so rather than sending out a meter reader, we will take that off of the meter. And also, more importantly, we actually have access to half-hourly information, so a customer can really see where the peaks and troughs of their usage are, and then they can look at supplier tariffs that are out there and say, I can actually maybe save myself a little bit of money if I go to this smart tariff rather than staying on a 24-hour rate, where every unit is the same price. But also it's a big deal for microgeneration. A lot of customers now are out there and they're putting in solar panels, and some are even putting in little small windmills so that they're able to export to the network. And now with the smart meter, we can record that export information and give it to the suppliers, and then a supplier can pay a customer for whatever they've exported to the grid.
Yeah, but I was looking just through some, and it is a minefield to try and ascertain, where the value is in terms of electricity suppliers. But what it seemed to be to me is that those that were offering smart tariffs, at least in terms of the daytime rate, were higher than their old systems, the costs. You can do a comparison, your current rate versus the smart meter rate. So if it was about saving money, unless I want to put on my washing machine, dryer and dishwasher at night, which I'm told by the fire officer that I shouldn't be doing so, I'd end up paying more for my electricity.
Okay, now obviously I'm not a supplier. I work for ESB Network, so I can't comment on there's a myriad of different tariffs that are out there. But I can say what we're currently exchanging is a meter that's on a 24-hour rate for another meter that's on a 24-hour rate, and nothing can change. So if whatever tariff you were on before we had the smart meter in, and the tariff that we have now, it's the very same. So we're not suggesting to customers, don't leap before you look kind of thing. So from the middle of November or thereabouts, we're actually going to have a networks portal that will allow a customer to log on and look at their usage. They'll be able to see a graph of their usage, and then they can go and they could maybe download that information and go to a switching site. Because some people are like, I know what you're saying, but I personally, I got a smart meter actually just a couple of weeks before I went into the smart metering program. I was on a list anyway, but I jumped for a smart metering tariff because I was in smart metering. I said, look, I'll go for a smart tariff, but I would never now switch on my washing machine or my tumble dryer or my dishwasher between 5 and 7, which is the peak. And that's for two reasons. It's because obviously it's a slightly more expensive rate, but also because there's so much talk and we're doing so much to reduce that peak demand so that we're not bringing in, carbon.
But I get you, and I understand there's a wider global picture to this, all right? But with all due respect, you don't use it between 5 and 7 because it would cost you more to use it between 5 and 7. I'm on an old meter, right? And if I wish to use my washing machine or dishwasher between 5 and 7, it doesn't cost me. It doesn't cost me any more or less. So I understand where you're coming from, but you're disadvantaged because you can't use your product when you want to, whereas me on the old meter, I can, and it doesn't cost me any more.
Yeah, but and what I was going to say is, but if you want to do that, even with a smart meter, you don't have to change tariff. So if you are on a smart meter and you don't think that the way you use electricity will allow you to save money, you can stay on the same 24-hour tariff. But for me, I'm seeing, because I have a cheaper night rate, and the night rate is from 11 p.m. till 8 a.m. So I tend to, I stay up late, so I tend to put on stuff at 11 o'clock. I know plenty of people who might put on their washing machine or their tumble dryer at 6 a.m. and they'll get a slightly cheaper rate. But I suppose the big point is that getting a smart meter does not mean that you're automatically onto a smart tariff. You can look at your usage and then you can say, well, if I go to this supplier who has maybe a night boost and I have an electric vehicle, I can save money doing that. But if you think that you're not going to save money by changing to a smart tariff, you don't have to change to a smart tariff, but you will still get the benefits of, if you're exporting, you get your export. You'll still have the benefits of no longer ever having an estimated bill because we've taken the readings off the meter. If you're somebody who wants to change supplier, that process becomes a lot easier. And then over the next few years, we're also going to see networks benefits because we have what we call a poor voltage use case. And from a network planning perspective, it's actually showing locations where maybe the voltage is dipping or there's an over voltage, and it's allowing our low voltage network planners to target areas for system improvements because we're getting that information. So there's a range of benefits to the customer and to ESB Networks of it. But the big thing is a customer has a choice, and if they want to stay on the tariff that they're currently on, they stay on that tariff and they'll know no different until they choose to look at smart tariffs.
I mean, at the moment, you're not obliged to get a smart meter. It's a choice, but it is only a matter of time, is it not really, that once more people that have smart meters that don't have smart meters, they might say, well, we are no longer supporting the older meter because obviously for financial reasons or practical reasons, what have you. So the reality is that the older meter is not going to be perpetually maintained. That whether whilst it's a choice now, there is whether people like it or not, and I'm not saying whether I do or don't, there is an inevitability that everyone is going to end up on a smart meter.
I would say over time, yes, because I mean, in essence, the smart metering program is an asset replacement program. If you want to look at it, the techie way of doing it, it's like your car, your fridge, whatever. Over time, it'll break down and you will have to replace it. So what we've done with the smart metering program is, instead of maybe replacing every meter over about 15 years, we're replacing all of the meters with the newest technology over a 6-year period so that we can get as many customers on smart metering as possible. And I would say you're right. In a few years' time, I don't know whether that's 5-10 years' time down the road, maybe the only meters that companies will be manufacturing is a smart meter, because let's face it, like a lot of people still have the old electromechanical ones, the ones with the spinning disc, and some of them are 30 or 40 years old. They're not made anymore. So we had already moved to the next generation of electronic relay meters, and now we're on the next generation, which are the smart meters. So you're right, maybe in 5, 10, 15 years, I don't know at what point meter manufacturers will be saying, we're only making smart meters.
Yeah, well, you see, you employ people to read meters as well, and obviously those people are losing their jobs. They're not going to be maintained to read the old analog meters, so live perpetually on estimated bills or switch to smart meters. There'll be loads of way people are pushed in this direction or encouraged in this direction. Your job is made very difficult, though, because smart metering has been pulled into something of an ideology for some people as well. There are people very much opposed to it, and you're trying to sell the product whilst electricity prices are increasing like we've never seen before. So it's hard to sell comparisons, okay? Is that a challenge? Because that the fluctuation for whatever reason in electricity prices can be used to sort of say, well, see, that's smart meters are doing that for you.
Yeah, you're not wrong. There's a few people now recently have said, oh, I saw my neighbour's bill went up after they got a smart meter. And I suppose it's back to what I was saying to you earlier. Like a customer most customers have not actually changed from their whatever way of billing that they had, like that you're the same unit rate all day and all night, to a smart tariff. So I think the fact that electricity prices have gone up quite a lot has definitely made people not do. But when you say, like, there are some customers that don't want a smart meter for other reasons, that they're a little bit worried, but that's running at less than 2%. So most people, once they realize that the technology that we're using it's like a smartphone. It's not even like a smartphone, it's like your old phone, because it's like sending a text message, and the meters meet all of the international standards. And again, with data, I think there's a few people have been worried about maybe data, but again, we follow the highest standards of GDPR, and we really mind the data, and security of the data is really high on our list. And if anybody is interested, we have a web page with our FAQs, and it goes down into the detail of the different international standards that we use for all of that. But again, just to let customers know that if you get a smart meter, you don't change your tariff unless you choose to do that.
Well, so a caller says, Greg, not true. No matter what tariff you're on, if you have a smart meter, you will be charged more for electricity from 5 to 7 p.m. That's simply not the case. If you're on a 24-hour rate, you aren't charged more. It's the exact same rate.
And just again to reiterate, like that extra that's in there from 5 to 7, that's 2 hours, but there's 22 hours where it's a cheaper price. But no, if you have not chosen, if you're on a day,
it's the same price per kilowatt hour, no matter what time of the day.
If you're on a 24-hour rate, absolutely,
People are getting obsessed with these meters. Some people say, do you know how there's been in the early days of the electric car, range anxiety? You couldn't enjoy driving your car. People are afraid that if they have a smart meter, they'll become obsessed with it. They won't be able to enjoy their house because they're going to be worrying what time the kettle's being put on or what time the toaster's being used. Some people are going to be like that. Not everyone is.
Maybe a few, but I'm guessing not. Like I have a smart meter for about a year and a half, and the supplier I'm with does Energy Insights, and I would say
What's the lag on those? Because people are of the impression that they've got a little thing sitting on the coffee table and it tells them exactly any peaks and troughs. It's a day. You have to wait a day, don't you?
At the moment we're what we call day -1. So the information, and I think some of the suppliers might have a 2 or 3 day lag, because we're a phased approach. Instead of trying to do everything at once, kind of like the first 250,000 meters went in with just making smart tariffs available and pulling the data. At the moment, we're going to be making, like I say, in the next month or so, the data day -1, but it's actually phase 3, so it's probably going to be 2024 or thereabouts, or the end of 2024 before we have what we call near real-time data. Yeah, that's where it's coming straight off the meter onto whether it's an app on the phone or whatever.
Some people are worried about radiation levels.
No, that's exactly what I was saying to you. Like if the meters meet all of the World Health Organization standards, and it's more like having an old Nokia phone as opposed to even a smartphone. Because
what frequency are they broadcasting? What frequency do they use?
Ooh.
Is it 5G?
I can't remember.
I know, but
we have
to be careful. We have to be careful with the Nokia analogy because they operated on 2G, and I think these meters operate in 5G. But I understand.
No, they absolutely don't work on 5G.
No, that's
right?
what I'm.
The vast majority of the
clarifying.
meters work on 2G, and then some of the newer meters, if there's no 2G, there's going to be narrowband Internet of Things, which is less than 4G.
Excellent.
So there's no 5G.
That's why I wanted to clarify that.
It's not absolutely no 5G.
Smart meters will reverse your reading of solar panels. If that doesn't matter who your provider is. The pay-as-you-go meters are a disaster regardless of provider. Well, you're not here to comment on pay-as-you-go meters. I know some people swear by pay-as-you-go meters. But anyway, so do you get, in terms of your solar panels, right, will that reverse your smart meter, or you get paid back for what you put in?
No, I think some of the very old electromechanical meters, if there's export, I think the disc might go backwards, but I think the units don't go backwards, but the disc does. No, the whole point of a smart meter is it records exactly what kilowatts you're exporting, and we give that information since the end of June. We now provide that information to suppliers, so suppliers will see exactly how many units you've exported, and the different suppliers again have different rates for what they pay. And I think most of them will be starting to pay before the end of this year.
Brilliant. That's what we were told.
I'm not sure whether any of them have paid yet, but no.
Thanks for your time, Carmel. I wish we had more, but unfortunately we're against the clock. Thank you, though. It's not your fault. That's our fault. All right, take care of yourself. Thank you. Bye-bye. Carmel O'Connor, Smart Meter Project Manager.
Live free in 23 with Dunloe GAA Club. €500 cash paid weekly, a luxury holiday, hotel stays and more. Winner takes all. Live free in 23.ie. Proud sponsors of today's show.
Some people spend 60 minutes watching TV, and some head out for a 10k run. Just like retirement, 60 minutes means different things to different people. At Bank of Ireland, we're all about your financial well-being, and 60 minutes is all it takes to start a pension that can make your retirement lifestyle achievable. Now's the time to fund your future. Book a phone or virtual meeting today at bankofireland.com/pensions. Bank of Ireland. Begin. Revenue limits, terms and conditions apply. Bank of Ireland is a tied agent of New Ireland Assurance Company plc, trading as Bank of Ireland Life for life assurance and pensions business. Members of Bank of Ireland Group. Bank of Ireland trading as Bank of Ireland Insurance and Investments is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Raymond Sweeney here from Ben Sweeney Euronics to let you know about the Blomberg Integrated Dishwasher, which can save you time and money. When you're pressed for time, you can choose a quick 30-minute or 58-minute wash cycle or an intelligent auto program for perfect wash results every time. The German-engineered inverter motor means it operates at low noise level, so it's whisper quiet. And there's a 7-year parts and labour warranty for peace of mind. Call in and see for yourself at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, or in the shopping centre Dunloe.
Your autumn getaway awaits in Ards and North Down. Just minutes from Belfast, this stunning region is the place for great value short breaks. Embrace the water's edge with adventures on both land and sea. Explore picturesque towns and villages. Visit top-class attractions and sample delicious local food and drink. Experience a relaxing stay and a warm welcome this autumn. For details, offers and the chance to win a £300 voucher towards your break, go to visitardsandnorthdown.com.
The hilarious It's the Real McCoy by Tommy Marin is coming to Grain Theatre Letterkenny this Friday, October 28th.
He had no go in him. If there was work to be done in the bed, he'd sleep in the wardrobe.
It's the Real McCoy, Letterkenny, this Friday night. See on grainon.com. Book now.
At ESB Networks, we're connecting Ireland to a clean electric future. And as part of the National Smart Metering Programme, we're now installing smart electricity meters in your area. Your new smart meter will reduce the need for estimated bills, help you to manage your electricity usage more efficiently, and enable you to access smart electricity products and services. We'll contact you before your meter is installed. Find out more at esbnetworks.ie/smartmeter.
Highland Radio weather updates brought to you by Grant. From condensing boilers to heat pumps and underfloor heating, trust Grant to heat your home. Visit grant.eu.
Okay, look at the weather. We will have sunny spells and scattered showers for this afternoon. Some heavy, temperatures 12 to 14 degrees. Thanks for listening to the show. We're back with you tomorrow at 9. John Breslin's next. Have a great day.
Live free in 2023 with Dunloe GAA Club. €500 cash weekly, a holiday to Dubai, All-Ireland final tickets